I hoard yarn like a dragon hoards gold, and in this video I'm going to be completely honest with you about how big and out of control my yarn stash has become. We're going to be going through every ball of yarn. I'm going to be deciding which yarn I'm keeping and which yarn I'm going to destash, and then we're going to organise my yarn into my new craft room. I'm also going to spontaneously be giving away some of my yarn stash at some point in this video, so keep your eyes peeled for details of how to enter that giveaway. I'm making this video for a few different reasons. The first is to hold myself accountable for how much yarn that I have and to try and find some yarn that's been in my stash for years that I can use. I've been at this hobby for 14 years now, and I have some yarn that I've had for years that I've not used, so I'd like to rediscover it and get some use from it. I also want to get rid of some yarn I know I'm never going to use. I'd like to pass on to someone that will love it more than me. I love watching other people's stash videos because it gives me ideas of new types of yarn that I might not have considered using before, so I'm hoping that I can do that for you as well. And finally, I'm not here to influence you to buy particular yarn brands, anything like that. Any links that I pop down in the description will only be to small business hand dyers, most of them UK based, that I want to highlight because I absolutely love their yarn. These are non-affiliate links, and I won't be linking to any large yarn companies, just the small independent ones that I absolutely love. So with all of that being said, we're going to start this yarn stash tour with hand-dyed sock yarn, which is my favourite kind of yarn. I've got some here and I've also got some in the cabinet behind me, so I'm just going to grab my camera and I'll show you how I've organised it at the minute. Then we're going to pull it all out and go through it skein by skein. So my craft room is very small, and I've got a corner desk here that I use for filming my tutorials, and then on top of the desk here I've got this cabinet. This is an IKEA cabinet with these sliding glass doors. I tend to have the glass doors open when I'm filming so that you can see the yarn here. So I'll just show you where I've got yarn stashed up on here. So on this top shelf here, this is a vintage sewing box, and I have all of my like buttons and ribbons and haberdashery stuff in here. And then this box over here is my sock yarn scraps up in this box. Here I've got some sweater quantities of wool that I'm hoping to use soon. I can't remember what's in that box. I think that box might be scraps as well, but we'll have a look in that box. Here are some of my current projects in the, oh, we can't see that. So here are some current projects that I've got. I've got these sock blockers here, and then this shelf has most of my hand-dyed sock yarn on. So most of this is 100-gram balls of, not balls, they're called hanks or skeins, I think. I don't know the actual terminology. It's either hanks or skeins. If you know, let me know in the comments. So yeah, I've got these. These are from various hand dyers that I love, that I've been accumulating over the last couple of years. So yeah, so that's the bit of the stash we're going to go through first. And then in this basket at the end, can you see that? Yeah. So in this basket at the end, I've got is full of Laceweight yarn. I used to be into lace knitting. I used to knit like lace shawls. I went through a phase in about 2016, 2017, and I think I might destash a lot of the lace yarn because I'm not into lace knitting anymore, and if I'm going to knit lace, I'm probably going to use something a bit heavier duty than Laceweight yarn because it's so fine. So we're going to go through that basket and decide what I'm keeping. There's another basket down here that has all of my mini skeins in it, so 10 and 20-gram skeins of hand-dyed yarn. And then I have got, it's all a bit disorganised at the minute because I've not quite got everything set up in my craft room yet. Like, I've got some shelves to be put up on the wall here, so I haven't quite got enough storage space in here just yet. So I've got a basket here, and this is like, some of it's leftover sock yarn, some of it's like full balls that I've wound and then not used. So we're going to go through this as well. So what we'll do next is I will pull all of this out of this shelf and we'll go through it skein by skein, and I'll decide which ones I'm keeping and which ones I'm getting rid of. I'm probably going to keep the majority of it because I like having it behind me when I'm filming, but I also have plans for some of it for some projects. So I'll talk about some of the projects that I've sort of got yarn earmarked for as well. So yeah, let's get all of this down off of this shelf. So this is what the yarn looks like laid out all on my desk. It skews all of the mess that's out as well. I've organised it by dyer, so there's sort of like, there's a pile of fibre fox here, for example, so I'll go through it with you dyer by dyer. Then I've emptied out these two shelves. So these two shelves are the ones you can see behind me when I'm filming my podcast and when I'm filming my sort of talking head videos. So what I'm thinking of doing is organising it by semi-solid tonal speckles up here, and then variegated yarn down here because I use the two different yarns for different projects, so it'd be helpful to organise it in that way. Apart from that, maybe I'll try and do it by colour, but I might just shove it all in randomly, but that's kind of the organisation I want to do here. So we're going to start with Fibre Fox, and I can't quite keep all of this on my lap, so I've found an empty box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put each of the yarn that I'm going to be talking about in the box on the floor between my feet so that I can reach down and grab the next skein of yarn and show you up close to the camera, because I feel with hand-dyed yarn I want to show you the details up close because they're often quite detailed yarns with the speckles and things. So we'll start with, okay, I've just pulled this one out randomly from the box. So all of the yarn I'm about to show you is from Fibre Fox, that's Georgie and Ben, and they dye yarn, and their fades for their advents are beautiful, but I do have some of her yarn as normal yarn as well. So this is a colour called Pumpkin Spice, and it's on her Luxe sock base, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. Most of the yarn I'm going to be showing you in the hand-dyed section is on this base. It's quite a standard base. I actually have some of the undyed here. It's the Platinum sock from Chester Wool Yarn. This is a yarn that a lot of dyers use as their base, and then they dye over the top of it. So this is the Luxe sock base, and this is Pumpkin Spice. So it's kind of like a very warm neutral colour with these black and orange speckles across it. So show you lots of detail of this yarn. So this is, do I class this as a tonal or a variegated? It's speckled, so I would say tonal, but it is quite variegated, so I'm going to put it in the variegated bit. So do you remember I said the bottom shelf was going to be variegated yarn and the top shelf was going to be semi-solids, although compared to some of the other variegated yarn, this is not very variegated. Maybe I need to split speckles up further. Maybe I'll put speckles like here on that side of the tonal shelf, and then we'll have tonals here and then variegated here, but I'm pretty sure I've got more tonals. So maybe I'll put speckles down there. Yeah, okay. New plan. Speckles on this side of the bottom shelf, then variegated here, and then tonals here. That's my new plan. So let's get to the next one. Oh, this one's pretty. So this is on that same base again, and this is the colour Iridescent, and it is a pastel rainbow. If I pull that up, you can see the blue. The blue's kind of covered by the label. It's beautiful. I actually got this in a mystery bag off of eBay of just like random hand-dyed yarns, and it's not necessarily something that I would use for myself, but knitted into socks I would like this. But I also think it's absolutely perfect for my sister. She's told me before she loves pastel rainbows, so I think that once me and my partner get my 3D printed sock knitting machine finally finished, I think I might make her a pair of socks for Christmas on it out of this yarn. So this is definitely a variegated yarn, so it's going in the variegated bit down here. I hope I'm saying all these words right. I always wonder how to say things like variegated and skein and things like that, so I hope I'm saying them right. So here's another one. Well, this is one of Fibre Fox's colours from the 2023 Advent, or 22 Advent. I think it was the 22 Advent, it was the Enchanted Wood one, and I got a skein called Book of Shadows. It's on that same base again. It's kind of like this rusty, reddy brown. I would say, although there are, because with hand-dyed yarns you do get variation of colour through it, this one is so subtle I'm going to put it in the tonal section. I think I'm going to have to be quite subjective with some of this categorisation, but I would use that as a tonal, even though there is some subtle variegation in there. So let's go in there. Okay, next one. Oh, actually, this is a good one to say. So I do have some yarn that's known as like a high twist sock yarn base. That's also 75% superwash nylon and 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. And it has a different texture. It's almost a bit more fluffy in the way that it's been spun. So if I show you these two up close, hopefully you can see. So this is the standard sock base that a lot of my stash is on, and this is the high twist one. So they're both sock yarns, but I find this one's a bit fluffier and feels almost like velvet once it's knitted up, whereas this one's a lot smoother and not as fluffy. I have got a mixture of them, but I've mostly got this base. So yeah, so we'll have a look at that high twist one next. So this is the colour Boysenberry, and this is a 50-gram skein of that high twist sock yarn, and I bought this to finish off a Tunisian crochet shawl that I started like a year and a half ago. But when I got it, it was a lot more muted than the photos online, so it was kind of a bit too muted compared to the more brighter colours I'd used in that shawl. So this has kind of ended up in stash, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it. This is a tonal, so it's going on the tonal shelf. Actually, I don't know whether to separate out my smallest skein, so I've got like 100-gram ones and I've got less than 100 grams, so I might separate it out. So what I'll do is I'll put my smaller ones on this side, because I have got quite a few, and I've got some sock sets as well, so I might put sock sets and small ones on that side of the tonal shelf. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So updated organisation is sock sets and smaller than 100 grams, tonals, variegated, speckles. That's how we're doing it. Okay, I've got another one of that high twist base from Fibre Fox, and this is one of her 2023 advent calendars, which was Golden Hour Advent, and I regret not buying it, but anyway. So this is the colour Turning Leaves, and it's kind of like this browny soft orange. It's lovely. It's got some speckles in there as well, but it's definitely a tonal, I would say, more than speckles, although there are speckles on it. So I'm going to put it in the tonals. And I bought this to go with some other autumny colours that I've got on this high twist base to maybe do a shawl with. So that's kind of, it does kind of have a purpose, this one. I bought it with purpose in mind, so that can go. Now my next question is, do I separate out my high twist ones from my normal sock yarn? I don't know. For now I'm not going to, but I might change my mind later. Okay, here's another autumnal colour. This is one of her sort of regularly reoccurring tonals called Copper Penny, and this is on the normal sock base, not the high twist sock base. It's a very similar colour to the last one. I was expecting it to be a little bit more of a deeper burnished orange, but it's actually really pretty. I really like it. Like I could imagine myself knitting a sweater in this colour. It's very similar. Well, it's a bit more golden than the orange of my top. So yeah, so this one's called Copper Penny. I don't know if I said that. So yeah, Copper Penny. So I will link Fibre Fox and all of the other yarn dyes that I'm kind of like highlighting in this video down in the description if you want to go and check them out. At the minute, Fibre Fox has loads of mini skeins, and you can pre-order some solids as well on 100 grams if that's what you want. And she's got like a rainbow of colours, including some really gorgeous autumn colours, and I'm trying to resist buying some more mini skeins. But anyway, so this is another colour from the 2023 advent called Devil's Bayou, and it's lovely. Look at that. It's like blue and deep green, and it's subtly variegated between green and blue. Is this variegated enough to go onto the variegated shelf? I think it is. Like, I feel like the blue and the green are far enough apart that you'll be able to see that once it's knitted up. It is beautiful though. I really need to use this. So lovely. I wonder if I should use it. So I bought quite a lot of this yarn with a pattern in mind that uses 500 gram skeins of sock yarn called the Amy cardigan by, I think it's Hohi Locatelli. But yeah, I bought some of this, and this could work really well. But there's another similar colour of this that could work really well. But I'd like to pull out 5 skeins of yarn for that. Probably not in this video, but yeah, this is helping me. So that's going on the variegated shelf. Last one from the Fibre Fox. This is the colour Seafoam, again on the normal base. So it's very subtly variegated, so I think I'm going to put that on the tonal shelf. But yeah, that's the shade Seafoam. It's beautiful. It's kind of like a dusty duck egg. Love it. Okay, so that's all of the Fibre Fox. So we're going to move on to a dye called Ducky Darlings next. Let me grab them all. Here are all of my Ducky Darlings ones. I'm going to put it through. So it's all down at my feet. And then let's go for this one first. So the next 3 skeins of yarn I'm going to show you, I bought for that Amy cardigan again because I want autumnal colours. So this is on that same sock yarn base, that we talked about before, and this is the shade Tobacco. So it's kind of like a bright mustard with a bit of an orangey tone. It's definitely a tonal. It's a lot less variegated than some of the other tonals that I've got, and it's kind of like a soft gold. That's kind of how I would describe this. I love this one. So that's going on the tonal shelf. Starting to fill up these shelves now, which is exciting. So the next one I bought for that Amy cardigan is the colour Sequoia Redwood in brackets. So I don't know if that's what sequoia means. I don't know, but it's beautiful. Look at this. It's such a lovely pinky reddy purpley colour. Oh, it's so lovely. Bring it right up close to the camera. Sorry if like you can see my tremor. I do have a slight tremor, so trying to hold it as still as I can. So that's Sequoia, that's going on the tonal shelf. Okay, the next colour is called Red Squirrel. It's lovely. So it's kind of, it looks kind of similar on camera, but they are different. It's more of an orange. It's very similar to that Falling Leaves one, but it's a little bit darker and a little bit pinker, and it's got a little bit more variegation in it. Can you see that stripe of colour running through there than the other ones? But this one is beautiful as well, and is a strong contender for that autumnal Amy cardigan. I bought enough yarn for that Amy cardigan for like 3 of them, but I'm only going to knit the one. So the rest of the Ducky Darling yarn I got to try out some different bases. So they're not standard sock yarn bases. So this one I got in a bargain bucket at Yorkshire Yarn Fest last year. So this is a superwash merino mohair nylon blend. It's got 20% mohair in it, and it's the colour Debutante, and it's very speckled. It's got like a very pale grey base with this lime green speckles through it, and I got this in a bargain bucket, so it wouldn't have been a lot of money at the time. But I bought it because I'd like to try knitting some socks that have got mohair in them, but I don't want to add a strand of mohair in them, and I don't know if my feet will be too sensitive to the mohair, because mohair is very hit and miss for me if it sets off a reaction or not. So I bought this as an experiment, basically, just because I want to try the base. I really like the really bright green speckles. I don't know how well that comes across on camera, but they're really vivid, like lime green. Beautiful. So yeah, this is destined to become socks at some point, potentially once my sock knitting machine is done. So that's going to go with the speckles down here. So yeah, my speckles are down there. Is that all of them? Oh no, so then here's another base, and they actually dye up a lot of yarn on this base, and I've seen it from other dyers, but they have like a whole section on their website to this base. So it's a superwash merino yak blend. It's got 20% yak in it, which is really interesting. I don't think I've seen yarn that had yak in it before I bought this, and I didn't realise this had yak in it until I bought it. I bought this at the first time I went to Yorkshire Yarn Fest in like not long after I started this channel, like March 2023 I think. It's because I started the channel in February, so yeah, it was only a few weeks after I started the channel. And yeah, so this is the colour Copper Kettle. How vivid of an orange is this? It's beautiful. And then I also got another colour of it at Yorkshire Yarn Fest, and that was in the same base but a different colour. What's the colour called? So it's called Maple, and I have actually wound this up because I started a project with it. This, look how rich that colour is. If you can't tell, you're going to see a lot of pink, you're going to see a lot of gold, and you're going to see a lot of like coppery oranges in this video, because they're like my favourite colours to knit with and crochet with. So this is kind of like an orangey gold. It's beautiful. It's so rich, so rich. I started knitting a Musselburgh hat with this yarn, and unfortunately, you can think I've even got the tiniest little bit of where I did the pinhole cast on, and I had to unwind it because it dyed my hands yellow. The dye that was coming off of it, you can't quite, don't have any just from touching it, but yeah, the yarn was, it was just coming off on my hands. So I think with both of these, I'm going to need to give them a wash and let them dry before I use them, and that's kind of the danger of hand-dyed yarn, is sometimes you can get yarn leaking onto your fingers or colours running when you wash it. I know that a lot of the dyers try to rinse it as much as they can, but there's only so much they can do. So I'm a little bit wary of using these, even though I've had them more than a year and a half now and I really want to use them. I'm a little bit wary. So I'm tempted to wind this up into a cake and try it and see if I get the colour run off on my fingers, and if it's just this one that needs washing. so we'll see. But yeah, I really do like these. I wish I hadn't wound this up because now it doesn't quite fit into my yarn stash, so I'm gonna keep all of the ones that have been wound up but unused to one side, and I'm going to try and store them differently, but this one can go on my tonal shelf. So we're going to move on to another yarn dyer now, and this yarn dyer no longer dyes. So this is Giddy Aunt Yarns. It was a dyer based in Northern Ireland, and I bought a few of their skeins. Some of these were from their shutting down sale. She decided to stop dyeing yarn because she's focusing on a different aspect of the business, I think, and I've got one on that high twist base and then 3 on the normal base. So on that high twist base is a colour called Shore, and it's got a different base, so it's 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon because it's only 365 metres, and all the other skeins I've shown you up to this point were 425 metres of yarn. So this is beautiful. I can see why it's called Shore. It's kind of that golden sandy colour with those sort of flecks of brown. It's very similar to that one, actually. It's very similar to Pumpkin Spice from Fibre. They're very similar. This one's a little bit more yellow. I definitely have a taste in yarn. So yeah, so this can go with the other speckled yarn. Then we've got the colour Sage. This is a really unusual, so this is on that standard, we're back to that standard sock yarn base again. This is a really unusual colour. I've not seen this colour dyed up very much. It's kind of like a soft greyed out green, like an olive green, but there's aspects of blue in it. It's just so unusual. So unusual. It's not very bright, it's kind of like faded. It's like a faded green, it's lovely. I don't know what I will do with it. That's got no plans, that's just for stash, so that can go with the tonals. I feel a little bit out of breath. I think I've got a bit of a cold coming on, I'm not sure. I'm a bit short of breath today, so I'm sorry if you sort of hear me coughing or sucking in air a lot. It's because I feel my chest feels quite tight. I can't read what this colour is called. I think it's called Coo. I think it says C-O-O. Or Cod, maybe? I'm not sure what that colour's called. But anyway, it's this beautiful, deep... Oh, it's coming across more orangey on camera. It's not. It's like a greeny golden yellow, but it's definitely coming across orange on camera. That is not the colour it is, but it has these like soft pink like sections running through it with these black speckles. It's so cool. I really like this one. I'm a bit annoyed that you can't quite see the right colour. If I hold it here, is that better? No, it still looks... So the camera is making it look more orangey and like warm brown, but it's very much more of a cooler golden colour. So yeah, anyway, that's that one. That can go with... Oh, is it speckled or variegated? I'd say it's more variegated than speckled, so it's going with the variegated yarn. And then here's another variegated yarn. This one's lovely as well. So this has got like purples and pinks and golds through it. So this is the colour Honeysuckle on that same sock yarn base. Oh, that's coming up really lovely on camera. So it's got these shots of like purple and pink and gold and orange through it. It's so beautiful. It's like if autumn was a yarn, it would be this. It's kind of like blackberry picking colours. It's lovely. I'll show you it again a bit closer. How gorgeous is that? So beautiful. I wish I'd bought like a sweater's quantity of this colour when she was, because this yarn is not available anymore, when she was still dyeing, because like I just love it. I've got a very similar colour from another dyer as well that I'll show you a bit later that's quite similar to this. This is variegated, so it's going on the variegated shelf. Okay, which dyer shall we do next? Let's do hedgerow yarns. So yeah, because we've got some unusual bases for hedgerow yarns. These aren't the normal base. So this is a base I've seen before. It's called like a zebra sock yarn base. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 365 meters per 100 grams. But the actual base of the yarn isn't white. It has these black bits twisted through it, and then the dyers dye over the top. This is the colour Sugar Plum from Hedgerow Yarns. I'll link her down below. And it's just so unusual. And I knitted a pair of, I bought 2 skeins of this in 2 different colours from Hedgerow, and I knitted a pair of socks in the other one, and it worked so well because the black kind of added almost like stripes to it. It was beautiful. So this is destined to become another pair of socks, but look at the beautiful pinks in this. So lovely, pinks and purples, just beautiful, so lovely. So that needs to go on variegated because underneath the black it is variegated yarn. So the next base is a really interesting one as well. So this has silk in it. So this is, so it's 80% superwash merino and 20% silk. So it's kind of like a silk sock. So they've replaced the nylon with silk fibres. It's 360 meters per 100 grams. And this is kind of like a cream with speckles of other colours on it. I don't know how well that's going to show on camera. I don't know if the window, because we're filming right in front of a window, so I don't know if that will kind of blow out the colour. But that's the silky sock base with the colourful speckles. It's really nice. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I suppose I could make some socks from it, but I tend not to wear white socks because they just get dirty and stained. So I'm not really sure what to do with it. Some other dyers do have a silk base, so I could maybe use this for a colourwork section or a stripe section of like a jumper. That might be better. But it's just nice to try different bases and different fibres. It's definitely a lot softer than the nylon blend. So yeah, that's that. That can go with the speckles. And then this is a different weight yarn. This is again from Hedgerows Yarns, and this is an Aran weight yarn. Well, it's her vintage Aran base, and I love this base. I wish she dyed more on it. It's 95% superwash merino and 5% non-superwash merino, and the difference that makes to the bounce and the feel of this yarn is just so, you wouldn't think it, just adding 5% of non-superwash yarn to a superwash yarn would make it so bouncy and springy. But yeah, I have 2 skeins of this. You can see all of those speckles. It's a cream with like pink and yellow speckles. I think there's some black speckles in there as well. Let me pull that down. So I have 2 skeins of this, and I'm thinking maybe a hat, because I could do a tutorial for a hat, maybe like a crocheted hat. I definitely want to crochet with it and not knit with it, because I often don't get to crochet with my hand dyed yarn as much because it's usually sock weight yarn. I don't like crocheting with it, even though I have done a blanket in sock weight yarn, the one behind me. It's not my favourite thing to crochet, prefer to knit with it. So this could be a fun way to crochet with it because it is an Aran weight. But yeah, love that. So beautiful. I forgot that I had this in my stash. This is what I mean about doing my stash to rediscover yarn that I've got that I can use. This needs to be up on my use list. It's so beautiful. And you know what I've just remembered as well is I was going to try and count my skeins of yarn as I go through them so I can get an approximate number, so I can put that on the thumbnail of this video. So I don't know whether to count them as I go or count them all at the end. I'm going to count them all at the end once they're in the shelves. So anyways, let's move on to Lay family yarn. So Lay family yarn are again a UK based dyer, and I discovered them at Yarndale last year. I don't recommend Yarndale. I know it's this weekend, I think, and I'm not going again because of how horrible it was to navigate in a wheelchair. But I did discover Lay family yarns from it. This is again on that same base, and this is one of their tonals called Seafoam. I bought this again for that Amy cardigan. I don't know if I'll actually use it or not. It's beautiful. It's like this stagey, tealy, soft colour, and it's one of their like regular colours that they have stocked on their website. That's one of the things about hand dyed yarn, is it's not always available. Sometimes it's only available for you to buy once, so you kind of get fear of missing out. But with Lay family yarn, they have a wide selection of yarn that's like constantly available on their website, so that's really good. So yeah, so that's the colour Seafoam, so that can go on the tonals. And this one is, I don't have much yarn that I would say is like all of one colour to be a sweater quantity, because I've kind of been hoarding single skeins of yarn, which I've stopped now. I only buy multiples now. I don't buy any more single skeins of sock yarn because I've got too many and I'm not using them. So I have 3 of this. So this is the colour Herkle Durkle, and it's one that was dyed up in collaboration with a podcaster, I believe, like a British podcaster. I can't remember who, I don't watch them, so I'll put them on, but I really liked it because it's a soft pink. I don't know whether that comes across on camera. It kind of looks cream from where I'm sitting on the camera screen. So this is, it's like a soft pink with blue and red speckles. Oh yeah, that comes across, you can see the pinkness of it there. It's beautiful. So I have 3 of these to make some sort of short sleeve sweater or like a t-shirt with. And I'm thinking of doing the Alpine Bloom t-shirt by, I can't remember her name. I'll put it on the screen, the name of the designer, and then pairing this with a dark blue colour. So you're using this as the background colour and then having dark blue of that colourwork flowers across the yoke, because there are blue speckles in this yarn. I don't know how well that comes across, but it definitely has a lot of blue speckles in it, so I thought that would go really well, and I find that pale pink and dark blue look really nice together. So that's kind of what this is earmarked for. Whether I change my mind on that is another question, but yeah, I bought this because I love it, not because I watched the podcaster. But that can go in speckles. My speckles section is looking so beautiful. I love speckled yarn. Okay, next dye, yeah, let's do Fruitful Fusion. I have another ball of this actually. So next up is Fruitful Fusion, and the first skein I've got to show you, I have actually wound it up intending to make socks for my partner, and then he changed his mind about yarn. So this is the colour Night Sky, and it's this beautiful blue variegated yarn. And I think it kind of looks like I think it's inspired by Vincent van Gogh's painting. It's just beautiful, all of those blues. So yeah, I have got the label in the top so I don't forget what it is, but I am going to find some way of storing up the ones I've already caked, because I don't really want to go through the effort of winding them back into that skein. I'd rather keep them as cakes. Okay, and then next we've got the colour Still Waters. On that same, so all of this yarn I think is that same sock yarn base that I talked about earlier. So this is lovely. Oh, it's a very light colour, so being right in front of the window is blowing it out a little. It's kind of a cream but with flashes of this like aqua blue and pink, but very soft, and then it's speckled as well of light pink. You can see that, it's beautiful, so lovely. It is a subtly variegated yarn, this one. So this one is called Still Waters. So I'm going to put that with the variegated yarn. And then next we've got the colour Garden Rose. And Fruitful Fusion, the dyer of this yarn, that she often has the same colours available again and again on her website, but not all of them. I think this one is available at the minute. So this is Garden Rose. So it's kind of a soft yellow and pink variegated base with dark pink speckles. You can kind of see some of the speckles there. So yeah, so that's the colour Garden Rose. That's definitely more of a speckled than variegated, so I'm going to put it in speckles. I've got a lot of speckled yarn. Got more speckled yarn than I realised. Well, this is a tonal, so this is the tonal Sunflower. And the camera is making it seem warmer than it is. It's more of a, somewhere between a bright lime vivid green and a gold. The camera's making it come across warm. It's not, it's very much a cool gold with a bit of a green tinge. It's very much a tonal. So that's Sunflower. Yeah, if I hold it up next to the tobacco, hopefully you can see the difference between the two. It's much more of a cool yellow and that's more of a warm yellow. So okay, and the next one, I'd say that was variegated. It's green and it's called Avocado Bomb. It's so cool. I think this is one of my favourite yarns I've got, and I don't want to use it because I love how it looks all caked up with all the different greens. It's like bright green. It looks like guacamole. It's even got like yellow bits in it. Yeah, it's literally the colour of guacamole. Love it. So that's the colour Avocado Bomb. I would say that's variegated, so it can go in the variegated section. So next up is a set of 2 50-gram skeins, and this is the Andalusian set. We've got a blue set and a pink set. I'm not going to be using these two together, so if I just show you these colours, I'll show you what I'm going to be doing with these two. I bought these ages ago. So there we are. Those are the 2 colours. But I also bought this sock set, and I used the mini that came with this sock set. This one doesn't have a name, this is just a random sock set from Fruitful Fusion. So I used the mini that comes with this sock set, so it was a 50-gram, this is 50 grams again, and it came with a 20-gram mini that I actually used in my blanket So what I'm thinking is actually to pair this yarn with that and make stripy socks, pink and red. I think that would be beautiful, and then I'm not sure what I would do with this blue. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking of doing with those 50 gram skeins. So I said I was going to separate out the 50 grams, wasn't I? So the 50 grams are all over there. Yeah, okay. Kind of like how this is looking. So the next yarn is from a dyer called The Lonely Knitter. I don't believe she still dyes, but I don't believe she dyes under the name The Lonely Knitter anymore. I think she's changed her name to like Folk Yarn, something like that. And these 3 skeins are from her Game of Thrones and House of Dragon collection last year. And I picked the 3 that I liked the most. So the first one is, unsurprisingly, a golden yellow. And this one is called Lannister Gold. That's definitely a tonal. And then the other tonal that I've got is called Alicent Hightower, and I got this because I love the colour, not necessarily the character, because I don't think House of the Dragon's been that good so far. But yeah, I just love this because it's that bluey teal colour that I love. So yeah, I love that. I like the really subtle variegation in this one as well. That is a really, I think that is definitely going in the Amy cardigan because I want the bottom layer to be teal, so I think that's going to be right at that bottom of that 5 colours one because I just love it so much. And then the last one we've got is a variegated one, and I was a bit disappointed when I received this because it wasn't what I was expecting. So it's called Breaker of Chains, and it's inspired by Daenerys Targaryen, and it just came and it was a lot softer than it looked on the website and a lot more pastel-y than I thought it was going to be. So it's a cream base with these shocks of gold and like an aqua blue through it. It's very lovely, it's just not what I was expecting because I was planning on using the 3 skeins together to make a shawl because I thought they went really well. They look beautifully together, but then I got it and this was too pastel-y. I wasn't expecting it to be so pastel, basically. It didn't look like the picture on the website. The other 2 did, just that one didn't. I didn't know if it didn't photograph very well, maybe because it's so pastel-y. So yes, that's Breaker of Chains. So I've just had a bit of a refreshment break and I grabbed myself some caffeine to try and keep me going through this video because it's going to be a really long video. And I realised that I've not actually gotten rid of any yarn yet. I've decided that all of the yarn we've been through so far we're keeping. We're not even halfway through my hand-dyed yarn, to be fair. So I don't know how much of my hand-dyed yarn I'm willing to part with because I love it so much and I love having it behind me and being on display in my office. So I don't know if I'm going to be getting rid of much hand-dyed yarn, but I know that I'm going to be getting rid of some other yarn as well. The other thing to say is I haven't yet said about where I've got the yarn from. Most of the yarn I've bought myself. There is one hand dyer from Canada who shipped me a bunch of yarn. So apart from that, I have bought every single ball of yarn I'm showing you in this video myself. And again, none of it is sponsored or anything like that. I don't really want to do sponsored content on this channel. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And I've got one more thing to show you before we get back to the yarn. Is this. So you can get yarn, you can get like shade cards from the Wood Store UK, Eloise. She does yarn shade cards for like all of my yarn packs and my crochet alongs, and she did me this custom sign for my office door. I'm going to put it on the outside of my office door and I haven't shown it yet, and I saw it and I was like, oh my god, I want to show you. So yeah, I have a lot of yarn in here because it's the yarn cave, so that's my excuse is, yeah. And I thought I'd play on the fact of like men have a man cave sometimes, and I'm gonna have a yarn cave, so that's going on the door of my craft room. So yeah, let's get back to the yarn now. Okay, so the next dyer, I think I have the most amount of yarn from this dyer. She is 110% my favourite yarn dyer. Most of the yarn in my Yorkshire blanket was from Beehive Yarns, Beth at Beehive Yarns. Her colourways are just beautiful. I love her yarn. She helped me choose the outside, the tonal colour for the blanket. That's one of hers as well. That's a shade called Mousebite. So yeah, I do have some of her yarn, but there's a lot of it. So we've got, I'm going to put it all in that box that I've got down there. So we've got this, some more, and some more. And that's not all of it. I've also got these two sort of partially used skeins of the mouse bite neutral colour that I used for the blanket. So yeah, so I'll show you those first. I don't know how much this is. I have got some scales out. I haven't been weighing any of these sort of like partial cakes so far, but I think I'll weigh this one because I'm interested to see how much I've actually got left of this, because I used just over, I think I used about 2.5 skeins for the whole blanket. I can't remember exactly. The meterage is in the pattern. So yeah, that's 125. That's 125 grams of yarn. They're two different skeins, but it's 125 grams. So that's quite a big quantity of yarn to have all in one neutral colour. But I could use this neutral in that Amy cardigan because it might be nice to break it up with a neutral, maybe. I'm going to end up with like 20 colours for that Amy cardigan. But yeah, anyway, so that's mouse bite, and I'm going to put that down here. So I've got a little pile going down here at my feet. I've got like yarn everywhere, but I've got a pile going down here for all of the ones that aren't in skeins. They're all wound up. So I'm going to find a way of like displaying all the ones that are wound up as well. Okay, we're going to start with some of the only DK weight yarn I've got in my yarn stash. I tend to just buy sock yarn, but I should buy more DK weight yarn because I love crocheting with DK weight. It's my favourite weight to crochet with. And this was actually the Christmas Eve box that Beth from Beehive Yarn did in 2023. It's beautiful, isn't it? And I'll just get you, I've got a notice board up here on the back of my door. You can't actually see it in this video, but I've got a notice board with loads of like swatches pinned up as well as the inspiration for this. So let me grab it. So this yarn was actually a mystery when I got it. I actually ordered it off of these inspiration pictures. Oh, that's got a bit of glare off the window because it's laminated, but yeah. So it was all of these like winter woodland things, and I love those sorts of colours. So yeah, I really like this. I just don't know what I'm going to crochet with it. Yes, I'm going to be crocheting with it. Most likely going to be crocheting with it. I'm not sure though. I'll bring them right up close so you can see. Shall we do it one by one? So this is actually, I should talk about the base. So this is her Dolly base, which is 100% extra fine superwash merino double knit, and it's 230 meters per 115 grams. I didn't realize it was more than 100 grams. That's quite helpful actually, because I was worried I wasn't going to have enough meterage for the thing that I'm thinking of, but I think I will. So yeah, anyway, so this is called Snowbound, and it's beautiful cream colour with these shocks of green through it, and you see there and there. So that is beautiful. And then the next colour is Winter Woodland, the same base again, and this is like a duck egg colour with shots of like brown and green through it. You can see there. I'm starting to feel a bit more out of breath, so I'm sorry if you can hear me huffing and puffing. That is the wonders of having long COVID. So yeah, you can see those shocks of brown there. Then the next one is a tonal, and this is called Pine. It's lovely. Look at that. It's like the perfect green. So rich and lovely. And this is definitely a tonal. I am going to keep these together though, because they are a set. And my thinking is I might design a crochet cowl in these. That's my thought. I'm still bouncing around a few different options, but with that fade, I love that, those three colours together. And I think this would be a beautiful cowl when I get the inspiration for it and when I make a decision on what I'm going to do. I don't know when that'll come, but yeah. So that was the Christmas Eve mystery box. Where am I going to put these? Because I want to keep them together. I think I'm going to put them with, you know how I put the 50 gram skeins over there? I'm planning on putting sock sets there as well. So because this is a set, I'm going to put it with them. So it's going to go there. Although then I can't see them because it's like right where it's got these sliding doors, but I tend to have it open when I'm filming because you can kind of get a bit of glare off the window there when I'm filming. So I tend to open it and only show this half when I'm filming. So yeah, I think I'll put the double knit ones there. Right, let's go through the rest of this Beehive yarns. Oh, that's annoying. There's another fibre fox yarn that I've got that I've just found on the top of all the Beehive yarn. So this is one of last year's advent colours called Apricity. It's beautiful. It's like a peachy, dusty pink with a sort of like subtle variegation and a few speckles. It's lovely. I think this is my favourite skein of yarn that she's done. It's so dusty and it's just dusty pink and orange and I love it. I love it so much. Like, this is a really strong contender for the Amy cardigan. I need to find other patterns that I can use 100-gram skeins of sock yarn for that's not just the Amy cardigan. Maybe I could do like a colour block jumper so that I've got the option of a cardigan or a jumper with some of these yarns. I think that would be nice. So maybe I should try and find a pattern for that. But anyway, yeah, this is apricity. I think I'm saying that right. I don't actually know how to pronounce that word. But yeah, so that's going, that's a variegated yarn. So that can go in the variegated ones. It's a very subtle variegation. Right, let's get back to beehive yarn. So again, I've got a few skeins of yarn that are that normal sock yarn base, and then I've got some more that's the high twist. We'll start with the high twist. So this is a fade, and it's some of the same colours that I used in the pink part of my blanket. So this is a fade from Beehive Yarns in that. So it's in a high twist sock yarn base, and I'll go through the colours bit by bit, but my plan is to knit a jumper starting at the cream and going down to the red. That's my plan. And we'll start with the first colour, which is Cotton Frocks, and that's actually on a different base, a base I've not shown yet. I think this is my only one. It's got, so it's the same as the twist yarn base, but it's got stellina in it, which is got kind of like gold, and I don't know if you can see the sparkle, but basically it's sparkly. It's the high twist yarn, but with sparkle. So it's got sparkle in it. And I would, oh, it's got a bit of my hair on it as well. That's the danger of having long hair, is I end up with hair in my yarn all the time. So yeah, it's cream with like red and yellow speckles. I love it. I would love to do just a jumper just in this colour, this creamy pink with the red and the yellow speckles. I love it. I hope you can see the sparkle. If I bring it up close, maybe you can see it a bit better. Oh yeah, you can definitely see the sparkle there then. So yeah, I kind of wish I had not got the sparkly one though, because it's the only one that's sparkly, so that means I'm going to be sparkly up here but not down here when I knit it, but I think it will look alright. And then the next one is Prairie Flower. This is a pink with red speckles. Oh, and there's even a little flash of like a yellowy orange there. So that's definitely a variegated pink. I'm not showing this that well, let me come closer. There we go. That's a bit better, so you can see that colour. So that's Prairie Flower. Then the next darkest colour is called Rose Hip Jelly. That's got a bit more of the red in it. So you can see how it's going to fade down, but it's still definitely variegated yarn. All of this is variegated. And then the final one of that fade is called Maple Sugar. So this is on the Bardo base. I don't think I said that earlier, and this is the base that I use for a Musselburgh hat. Actually her yarn, it was beautiful. This one isn't, it's not showing at the variegation as well on this. It's kind of orange and a deep pinky red, the variegation. Oh, that's a bit better if I hold it out there. Some of this yarn, they look better if it's like here, and some of it looks better when it's like here. So yeah, so that's the fade. I really want to cast this on, but it's just not the I want autumn at the minute. I want autumn colours, and I don't really want the pinks, even though I could cast this on. I'm not sure what pattern I'm going to do for it yet though. I keep jumping between a cardigan or an actual jumper. So yeah, there's my fade. That can all go in the variegated section. This one's called Cozy Autumn. I love it. I think it's one of the like monthly clubs from last year. Brown and gold and orange and all of those colours that I love. I love this one, so nice. So that's the high twist. We're still on the high twist sock base ones. And then, oh, this is a sock set. So this is the Grass Flower sock set in that high twist base. I don't know if I'm going to keep this as a sock set or not, because like I said earlier, I tend not to do cream for socks. I think this one might do better if I bring it closer for you to see the colour. Although then it's washing it out a bit because of the window. So that's a good way of showing it there. And you see all those speckles. It's basically another creamy speckled yarn with like this, I think she calls it sludgy green. That's what the colour's actually called, sludgy green mini for it. I don't think this is going to stay as a set and be a sock. I'd quite like to mix it with, I quite like to knit something with those two colours together. I think they go together beautifully. So yeah, so this is a sock set, so it can go over in the small skeins and sock bit. So this is one of her dye to order tonals, and I actually bought it to use in the fade, those 4 skeins of a fade, but it didn't actually go in the end. And this one is always available on a website. It's a dye to order tonal called Cozy Up. It's beautiful pink. It's lovely. It's coming across a little peachy on the camera, I think. It's definitely more of a pink than a peach. It's not peachy. It's not peachy at all actually, but it's lovely. I would love a jumper in this colour as well. I just want jumpers in all of these colours, and then I only bought one skein of it, so I can't actually make any jumpers in it, which is silly, but anyway. So that's a tonal, so I can go up there. And then this is the last, I think this is the last one I've got of that high twist base from Beehive. This is called Flower Crown. Beautiful, isn't it? So this is a soft pink, and it's got black, red, orange and green speckles, and even some dark pink. If I pull it up there, you can see the speckles. It's pretty, isn't it? I don't know what this will become. It would look amazing as socks, to be fair. Although I think I knit double knit socks in this colour. I don't know, but anyways, so that's Flower Crown. That's more speckled, I'd say, so that's going on the speckled bit. Right, well, we've got a couple of like neutrals here, so let's look at some neutrals. So this is the colour Crema, and it's kind of like a pinky beige, but it's definitely not pink, it's more beige. I wouldn't call this pink, I would just call it pinky beige. So yeah, that's Crema. That's another one of her dye to order tonals, and I actually bought this to test to see if it would be good as the neutral for around all the squares, but I found it was too warm and too pink, so that's why I've got a random skein of this. But it's a really nice like contrast colour. It'd be good for some colour work maybe. So yeah, that's Crema. This one is called Favourite Sweater. I don't know if I actually ordered this one. I don't know if this was like a mystery one maybe. This might have been like in a mystery box, because I'm not sure I would have ordered another cream with speckles. I don't actually remember getting this. It must have been in a mystery box. I definitely didn't pick this. So we're on to the standard sock base now as well. So this, yeah, it's just a cream. It's kind of like Crema but with black speckles basically. So that can go in the speckled bit. Oh, this one's nice. I actually bought this as a sock set, but I took out the mini skein of the mini skein. Not mini skein. Yeah, it was a mini skein. So the sock set usually get like 100 or a 50 gram main colour and a 20 gram mini skein to do like the toe, heel and cuff. And the one that I got for this one was like the cozy up colour. But yeah, this is called Nougat. It's pink with speckles. I've got a lot of pink and cream speckle yarn from Beehive yarns, but yeah, it's pink with speckles. This one's a bit of a brighter pink than the other pinks. It doesn't really, the camera's washing it out a little bit. It's more bright than the other ones. So yeah, I think that I'm going to put that in, although it's got variegated bits, that can go in speckled. This one is called Wheat Stack. It's another golden yellow with brown speckles. I don't know if I should start going through these a little bit quicker because I bet this video is really long. But yeah, that doesn't matter. I like watching really long YouTube videos, so I'm just going to keep going. So that's gold with brown speckles. That's called Wheat Stack. I would say that was more variegated. Yeah, that can go in variegated. Then this one is called Dryad or Dryad. I don't know how you say that. Druid? No, D-R-Y-A-D. I don't know how you say that. But yeah, this is a variegated yarn. It's green and like a duck eggy aqua colour with black and orange speckles. It's beautiful. Just beautiful, this one. I adore this. I've actually put together a fade from like bright green to teal with a few of my different yarns, and I won't show you them because they're from all different yarn dyers that I'm thinking of doing a summer top in next year, but we'll see whether that actually happens or not. But yeah, so that's Dryad. That can go in variegated. And then my last Beehive Yarns skein of yarn. Oh no, it's not. I've got some that are caked. Oh, my last Beehive Yarns is the colour Explore. Beautiful variegated teal. Love, love, love this one. I really love teal. It's such a lovely colour. It's so nice. So yeah, I'm going to put that in variegated. Okay. And then I've got this basket of like ones that like leftovers and ones that have been caked up and stuff. And this, I believe, is Beehive Yarns in Cozy Up. Not Cozy Up. Velveteen. This is one of her dyed to order tonals, Velveteen. I use this to make a headscarf. Got quite a lot of this left over. How much of this is left over? 57 grams, so more than half a skein. So that's quite a lot of yarn left. I could get another project out of that. And then the last bit is I made some DK weight socks in Flower Crown. I think it was Flower Crown or Prairie Flower. I think it was Flower Crown, but I've got some leftovers from that. So those are my leftovers from that sock set. It was my first pair. Was it my first pair? I think it was my first pair of double knit weight socks. In that same colour. I had two of the same colour, but in different bases because I loved it so much, that pale pink with like the black and the red speckles. So that's all of my beehive yarns, and I would say that she is the dyer that's my favourite and I've got the most of. But what we'll do next is I've got quite a lot of, let me move some of this over. So up next we're going to talk about a Canadian dyer, and that is Arcane Fiberworks, and they sent me, God, it was about the time we moved, because I remember I had to give them my new address but we hadn't moved in here yet. They sent me a box full of yarn, and it was a mystery. I didn't pick it. I just said I like autumn colours and I like pinks, and they sent me like a mystery box of yarn, and that was gifted. I didn't pay for it, but I did have to pay import tax, and I wasn't expecting it, and it was hefty because of like the high value of hand-dyed yarn and how much they sent me. So this is the only yarn in the entire video that was gifted. I didn't get it in exchange for making content. They literally sent it to me in the hopes that I would make content about it. I've not been paid to sort of showcase them in this video, and I've not actually used any of their yarn yet. But what I like about it is that it's on a base that's different to the one we have in the UK. So if I get one of the ones they've sent me, so this again is it's an 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon, 400 meters per 100 grams, and it feels different to the standard sock yarn we get here. It feels softer and fluffier. So this colour is called Back to My Roots. This is definitely a variegated colour, and it's definitely autumnal, so that when I said I wanted autumnal yarn, this one definitely meets it. What I've noticed about a lot of their variegated yarn is it's sort of dyed in clumps, which means that when you knit it up it's going to stripe if you make socks, and also if you knit something bigger it's going to pull, so you're going to get flashes of colour and weird patterning, which I don't like using variegated yarns for big projects, just socks or just as like a highlight colour. So this one, they've sent me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 100-gram skeins of sock yarn and 8 skeins of DK weight yarn, so that's quite a lot of yarn that they sent me, which is very generous of them, so thank you Arcane Fiberworks. But yeah, I love this one. I'm going to keep this one, but I might pick my least favourite, and then that can go into my giveaway pile, I think, because I don't use a huge amount of variegated yarn that's variegated to this sort of extent. And I think it would be nice, seeing as I received it for free, it would be nice to give it away so someone else can benefit from it. So this was the colour Back to My Roots. I'm not going to put them away yet. I'll put them away all at once so I can pick my least favourite. So we'll go through the sock yarn first. I really like this one. This one I'm definitely keeping. It's so unusual. This one's called Autumn Drive. How amazing are all of those colours, the deep black and the gold and the pink and the green. Oh, so beautiful. I don't know what I'll use this yarn for, but I love looking at it. It's so decorative, so pretty. So, and then the next one, so I've got kind of like 4 autumn colours and 2, I don't know what to call the other 2. This one is Serenity. This is very similar to the first one I showed you, but it's like a lighter version of it. So the Back to My Roots, if I hold them side by side, they're browns and greens, but this one's lighter and this one's darker, so that could be good to use in a project together. So yeah, let's look at Serenity a bit closer up. So there's Serenity. It's pretty, isn't it? So lovely. And then the last autumny one is called This'll Cheer You Up. And I think this one might be one of the ones that I'm willing to part with. So it's kind of green at this end and purple at this end, and this will definitely produce stripes if you make socks, or that flashing if you make something bigger with it. I'm not too keen on this one. I think it could make a nice pair of socks though, and my partner's favourite colours are purple and green, so that could make a really good pair of socks for him maybe. So that actually I might keep this one. And then the last 2 are kind of what I would call unicorn colours, so they could make good socks for my sister again. This one's called I Don't Believe in Humans, which is quite funny. So this is like pastels, pastel blue and pastel pink and pastel purple, all mixed up together. It's pretty, isn't it? Oh, I don't know if I want to part with this one anymore. That could make a good one for my sister, actually. Or even me, I would wear these pastel socks. Don't really do pastels very much anymore. And then this one's quite similar. It's called Hues of the Harbour. So if I remember rightly, Arcane, when I looked on the Arcane Fibre Works website when they reached out to me, because it's not somewhere I would have bought because you've got to import it from Canada. So when I looked on the website, a lot of their colourways are, they find a picture and they use that as direct inspiration. They pull the colours from the picture and then dye them up on the skein of yarn. And I think I remember this one, Hues of the Harbour. It was like a picture of a harbour at sunset with all of those sunset-y colours. I don't know if I'll use that. Do I want to gift any of these to any of you? Is the next question. I'm finding it really hard actually to get rid of some of my hand dyed because they're unique. A hand dyed skein of yarn is unique and it's hard to get rid of them. I'm not massively keen on the Hues of the Harbour one actually, now I'm thinking about it. So yeah, I think this might be the first skein of yarn that's going in the giveaway pile. So yeah, if you fancy winning this skein of yarn, keep watching because I will announce the details once I've got you a little bundle to win. So yeah, that's the first skein that's going to be given away. This beautiful sunset-y sunrise colours. And I'm going to keep the unicorn one. I think it looks like unicorn colours to me because I think that'd make a really nice pair of socks. So yeah, so those are all of the sock yarn, and then they sent me 8 skeins of a DK weight yarn because I said I was going to be doing a lot of knitting clothes on my podcasts, and they said they'd send me a sweater quantity, but I didn't choose any of these. This was all a mystery, and this is not a yarn I would choose, and they sent me 8 skeins of it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it because it doesn't really match any of the patterns I've got in mind. I'll pick up 2, but I've got 8 skeins of this, but I'll just show you the 2. So it's green and brown, variegated yarn, and the way that it's been dyed, how it's been dyed in this clumps, means it's going to stripe and pool, and I think with the brown and the green together it's going to look like camouflage, like army camouflage, and I don't think I'm going to like knitting with it. I really don't, but they've sent me 8 skeins of it, and 8 skeins of DK weight yarn is worth a lot of money, so I don't want to give it away or sell it. And it was gifted, so I feel like I shouldn't sell it, but I just don't know what I'm going to do with it. My partner quite likes it and said he'd be up for a jumper in it, but I think he's not going to like it once I start knitting it up. The other option is I could hold it double with a strand of mohair. But yeah, if anybody has any pattern ideas for heavily variegated yarn, DK weight, please put them in the comments because I'm a little bit stumped on this. It's beautiful to look at, it's going to look lovely on the shelf in my office. I'm just a little bit stumped of what to knit with it. So yeah, oh, I didn't actually tell you what the colourway was. It's called Forest Tapestry. It's very lovely. The colours are nice, the brown and the green together. Definitely meets the autumnal brief that I gave them. So yeah, anyways, I don't really know how to put the yarn away. So all of these are variegated. So they're all going on my variegated shelf. All of those what are they called? Sock yarns. So all the sock yarns are going on the variegated shelf. But I don't really know what to do with all the DK weight yarns. I feel like they should be underneath. I feel like maybe I want a line of these underneath all of the variegated here. I'm going to keep them separate for now because I have got a shelf with sweater quantities of yarn, so I could put it up here. So I could put it up here with the sweater quantities that I've got instead of with the hand dyed. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I think I am going to do that. But then that means I probably should have separated out the Herkle Durkle that I've got 3 of. So let's do that. Let me grab them. So yeah, so those 3 skeins of Herkle Durkle from Lay Family Yarns, that's going with the sweater quantities. And we'll do another sweater quantity next because I've got a yarn dyer over here that I've got a sweater quantity from. So we'll start with that sweater quantity actually. So this is from a dyer called the Camel's Yarn, and she does beautiful yarn inspired by Cornwall. Really, really beautiful stuff. So this is on the standard sock yarn base, and it's the colour Autumn Bracken, which I pre-ordered. So it's coming across a beautifully warm golden brown on camera. It's subtly variegated, if I bring it right up. Subtly variegated. In real life, it has a kind of cool undertone that's almost olive green, which I don't like. But I'm hoping that when it's knitted up, I will like it. I tend to prefer warm golds rather than greeny golds. So yeah, this looks a little bit different to the pictures on the website again, which you kind of get when you buy any yarn. But yeah, so autumn bracken, and I have 4 skeins of this because I thought I loved it so much, but I don't know anymore. I suppose I could hold it with mohair, like a warm gold mohair, and that would even it out, but then what's the point of me getting hand-dyed yarn if I hold mohair along with it? So yeah, so that's that. I don't know what pattern I'm going to use it for, but I do like it. I love the subtle variegation. You can kind of see that subtle variegation there. It's pretty. So yeah, so that can go with the other sweater quantities. And I've got some other stuff from Camel's Yarn as well. So the first one is a skein called Driftwoods. This is a colour called Driftwood. It's kind of like a mauve brown with speckles. It's very unusual. I don't have anything like this in my collection because it's so muted and heathered. It's lovely. So yeah, so that's called Driftwood. Would I say that was a tonal or a speckled or a variegated? It's somewhere between the 3, to be honest. I think I'm going to put it in tonal. I would use that as a tonal. And then the last set is, it's a sock set, and it's called Flora Day, and it was a mystery one. So this was my first ever mystery skein of yarn last year, and she put up a picture that was like flowers, spring flowers. It was in the springtime, like May Day type colours, and it's lovely. So I am going to be making socks out of this, probably in the spring because it's a spring colour. So yeah, this is the sock set. So you can see I've got that 20-gram mini of this solid pink, and then this yarn is mostly gold, but there are blue and pink in it, so that when this knits up, because they're in chunks of colour, it's going to like make stripy socks. But I love it. I really love it, and I'm interested to see what patterns it makes when I knit it up, whether it is going to be stripes or not, because it's quite subtle. I think I can get away with it if it starts pooling. So yeah, oh, you can see the blue there. Lovely. So yeah, that's the sock sets that can go over here with the other sets. So I'm just sorting out the rest of the hand-dyed yarn that I want to show you. I'm going to save a bunch of yarn where I've only got 1 skein from that dyer to the end. And I've also just found this that's caked up. So this is a colour from Ducky Darlings, and it was a hat sample that I got in a bargain bucket, and I unwound the hat because it was massive. And I'm going to use the yarn. It's very pretty. I don't know what the colour's called. You can kind of see it's a little bit crinkly there, where I've unwound all the knitting from that giant hat that was in the sale. So yeah, I don't know what colour that is, but that's from Ducky Darlings. Next up, we're going to go for Lonely Mountain Yarns, and she hasn't dyed anything this year, I don't think, but by the name Lonely Mountain, and I have talked about this right in the first few episodes of my podcast, is she does Lord of the Rings inspired yarn. So I've got 2 left because I've already knitted up 2 sock sets of hers already, and I've got 2 left. So this is a DK weight set, the first set, and it's 250 grams of DK weight yarn, and this is the colourway Smaug. Look, look, look how beautiful it is. It's a variegated maroon, purple, and then this gold with flecks of red and green for the treasure. Treasure and the dragon, that's what the 2 colours are. They're lovely. I want to make stripy socks or a stripy hat out of these. Still haven't used them, had them over a year. I've had most of this yarn for a really long time, so that can go with the other sets. And I've got another sock set from her called A Hobbit's Tale. This is inspired by the book that Frodo and Bilbo wrote in the films. This is a sock set, so a 50 gram set, 50 gram skein and a 20 gram mini skein. These 2 colours here. So that can go in the sock yarn set bit. So the last dyer that I've got multiple skeins of, and not just single skeins, is Pigment and Ply, and she has a pre-order that's reopening at the weekend, and I'm resisting so hard to buy some yarn off of her, but I have got some already, and all of the yarn that I've got from her was actually from mystery boxes, her official mystery box and one from someone that was doing a destash. So I haven't actually bought any colours from her that I've chosen, but I love them. So we've got some unusual bases here as well. So I saved the unusual bases till last. So this first one is called Curses and Cries, and it's 100% superwash merino socks. It's not actually got any nylon in it. Okay, so this is pinks, purples and browns, kind of like reddy browns. It's lovely. It's definitely variegated. So yeah, that was a mystery one, and it's a colour that I don't really have in my stash because that pink there is so bright. I tend not to have that many bright colours in my stash, so I like this one. We're going to keep this one. I might get rid of one of these other ones though. That might join in to the thing. So that is, yeah. So I have got this other yarn that I think I'm going to add into the giveaway pile because I got this in that mystery set. And it's just a base I know I won't use. So this is 56% extra fine superwash merino and 44% mohair. And it's like a single ply. Bring it right up, you can see it's not plied at all. It's just like a single ply that's been twisted. It's very, very fuzzy. And it's this beautiful variegated yarn with like soft greens and blues. It's a lovely colour. The problem I have with it is a fingering weight yarn, but it's not suitable for socks because of the twist on it, and I find it prickly because of the mohair. Not the best at mohair. So that is going to go in the giveaway pile. Yeah, I'm 100% sure on that. That's being given away. And then the last three I got in an official mystery box from her when she was having a clear out last year, or earlier this year maybe. Was it last year? I think it was last year, this time last year I think. I can't quite read her handwriting on some of these. So I've got this one here. Oh, this is an interesting base. So this is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere and 10% nylon sock yarn. So it's got cashmere in it. I didn't know that. I didn't notice that. That's interesting. I'm tempted to knit this up to have cashmere socks. But yeah, this colour is called DYERS. I can't say that. I can't read that writing. I'm sorry. That's the colour that it is. I've got no idea what it's called, but it's lovely. She does some really beautiful variegated yarn. So lovely. I'm really tempted by this for my next pair of socks actually. Anyways, it's variegated, so it's going in the variegated shelf. Then the last two are the same base, and I knew these were a different base because I noticed that before. So the base of these two skeins is 60% superwash merino, 20% alpaca and 20% nylon, and it's fingering weight again. So they're both the same. So this is a colour called Rusalka. It's variegated again, and then this one is a tonal called Spring of Pegai maybe? I don't know. So yeah, and I think they go beautifully together. If I bring it right up close, maybe you can see it's kind of got a fuzz to it. It's a lot softer and fluffier than my other sock yarns, and I think these would be beautiful as a shawl or a hat together. Like, I think they go together so beautifully, and I want a project that uses the two of them together. I really love it. So nice. I kind of don't want to split them up because I know I'm going to use them. I will split them up. No. Even though one's a tonal, one's a variegated, I don't want to split them up. So I'm going to put them there on the edge of somewhere between the sets and the tonals so that they can stay together because I really want to use them together. Now I've got some hand-dyed yarn that's not from an independent hand dyer. It's from a large company that does it. So it's Koigu Painter's Palette Premium Merino. It's 100% merino, 4-ply, and it's 160 meters per 50 grams. So it's not, it must be a little bit thicker. It must be more like sport weight. And I've got 3 colours of that. I'll show you them all together. I'm not gonna, they don't have proper names, they just have like codes, so I'm not gonna tell you. But basically my partner, I asked him for a few, I've used this previously in a shawl, and I said, I'd love a couple of skeins of this for Christmas. I don't care what colours you choose. And these are the colours that he chose me. I think they're very pretty. I've had these a long time. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with them, but they're nice to have in my stash, you know? So yeah. I would say they're all variegated, so they can all go in the variegated bit, but they're only 50 grams, and I was putting the 50 grams separate, so 50 grams can go over there. So the last of the hand-dyed yarn are some single skeins that I've got, and I'll try and whiz through these quickly. So this is from Wild Pearl Yarns. I've got quite a few of her mini skein sets, but this is my only full 100 gram set, and it's kind of purple and orange autumn colourway, and it came with this cute little, I'll bring it right up close to the camera so you can see, this cute little pumpkin stitch marker, which I'm going to take off because we're in autumn and I'm in the autumn mood and doing the autumn knit projects, so that can come off and go on to one of my projects that I'm working on at the minute. This is definitely variegated, so it's going on the variegated shelf. Next up we've got a sock set. This is from Giddy Yarns, and I'm currently knitting with another yarn from her that's inspired by Winnie the Pooh. This one is inspired by Lord of the Rings, and this is the Treebeard colourway, and I don't really like it, but I'm keeping it because it's Lord of the Rings themed and I'm a sucker for Lord of the Rings. So it's a 50 gram, 20 gram sock set inspired by Treebeard. I just think it's too light and bright for Treebeard. Treebeard's quite moody. I'm probably not going to be buying any more Giddy yarns because her dye style is a bit light and bright for me. I prefer the darker, dustier colours. So yeah, but that's a nice sock set. I'm tempted to knit it up and just, maybe I'll like it more when it's knitted up into a pair of socks. So that's a Treebeard sock set. Okay, and then next, I think this one's going to go in the giveaway pile, so let's do this. I got this in a mystery set again off of eBay, I think. So this is from Down Sheepy Lane. I've never heard of them before. It's on a sock yarn base. It's that high twist sock yarn base, and it's the Moana colour. So this is Moana inspired yarn. It's too bright for me, so that's going to go in the giveaway pile. So yes, there's a third skein to be given away, and we have 3 skeins. So let's do the giveaway. So these are the 3 skeins of yarn that you could win by entering the giveaway. For a chance to win this yarn, then drop a comment down below with your favourite yarn, and in 1 week's time I will select the winner randomly from the comments and announce it on the community tab of this YouTube channel. I'll pop it up on my Instagram as well, just so you don't miss it. I'll pop some rules down in the description as well, so you know all of the rules for entering this yarn, and I am willing to ship it worldwide. The last time I did a giveaway I shipped it to America. It was pretty expensive, but I'm willing to do that again so that someone can enjoy this beautiful hand-dyed yarn. Okay, up next is from a dyer that I want to buy more yarn from. This is Dandelion and Dogwood, and it's the colour Pumpkin Cupcake from last autumn. It's so lovely. It's on that high twist sock base again, so it's a bit more bouncy than the other sock yarn, a bit more fuzzy. It's kind of cream with peach variegation and red speckles. It's really, really pretty and I love it. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to use it for, but I've actually got a mini skein set to go with it, so there's a project there potentially, and I'll show you that mini skein set next. We're going to go through minis once we've gone through all of the hand-dyed yarn. And then I've got another skein of yarn here that I got at Yarndale last year, and it was from someone who was having sort of a closing down sale at Yarndale, so they no longer dye. So this is Sable Yarns. Does it have a name? So this is the colour Charcoal, but it's not a grey, it's definitely a blue. It's like a steel blue. I love it. I've not got anything like this in my collection. I'd like to get some more sort of dusty blue colours in my collection, and you might notice it's wound up a bit funny. That's because I had to rewind it myself because it came sort of all apart in a box when we moved, so it's not wound up very well. You can see it's all knobbly, but yeah, I really like this. This is a strong contender for the Amy cardigan just because it's such a contrast to some of those other like more autumnal colours I've got, but I love this. I would love to do a top in like a steel blue. I think blues don't always suit me, but I think that those more dustier blues really do suit me rather than the brighter blues. So that's a tonal. Then up next we've got let me grab that. We've got 2 50 gram skeins from Henny Penny Makes, who is a dyer in the UK. I've only got 2 50 gram skeins. I got them at the first time I went to Yorkshire Yarn Fest, not the second, yeah, the first. So this is 50 grams, so it's standard sock yarn base, 212 meters. This is a green colour. They've not got any names, but this is like a lovely sagey green. And then this one is wound up because I nearly used it in a project and then decided against it. So, and then this pinky colour here. These are definitely tonals. So yeah, so that's the only yarn I've got from Henny Penny Makes. So that's a 50, so that can go in there. And then we've got a DK weight skein here, and this is from the dyer Quack. I think I got this in the bargain bucket at Yorkshire Yarn Fest. So this is 100% superwash blue-faced Leicester, so that's a type of yarn. I've not actually ever used blue-faced Leicester, so maybe I should use this for something. I don't know what I could use it for. But anyway, this is the colour Extra Hour. It's a very deep blue, like a tealy blue. Subtly like variegated. Definitely a tonal to me though. But yeah, I don't know what I could use this single skein for. I don't know, I'll have a think about that. And then the last one is a random skein of sock yarn that I got at Yarndale in 2016 that I've still not used. It's a 75-25 blend, but it's quite a rough yarn. And it's the colour Summer Berries. It's from a yarn company that never actually took off. They never actually did anything. Oh, that's upside down, whoops. So yeah, it's from a yarn company that never actually did anything. They just had a bunch of sample yarns that they sold at Yarndale for cheap that year, but they never actually became a company that you can buy from. But this is nice. So this should give me, it should be like a self-striping yarn, like micro stripes in autumn colours. So I'm saving this. I think this is probably going to be the yarn that I test out the 3D printed sock machine that me and my partner have been, we were working on it before we moved and then we haven't worked on it since. There's still some bits to print out and then I've got to screw the whole thing together. I'm doing a 3D printed sock knitting machine. I think this is the yarn I've been sort of saving to try to sort of practice with, because it's not anything particularly like precious to me that I'm going to want to, like, it doesn't matter if I rip it out and wind it back up and try again with it. So yeah, I think I'm saving that for that. So that can go in the variegated yarn bit. So I think that's actually all of my full skeins of hand-dyed yarn. So I'll show you what we're looking like over here. You see it okay? Yeah. So we've got variegated, tonals, sets and speckles. It feels kind of empty now. So I might rearrange it because I liked having just a full shelf of hand-dyed yarn. So I might try and push it all up more so that it looks more full and just do like half, put something there as like a barrier and just have half the yarn. But it's all there now. Next we're going to go through these baskets over here. The bottom one has all of my mini skeins in it and the top one has all of my Laceweight yarn in it. So we're going to start with the mini skeins next. But before that, I'm going to have a quick break. So rather than taking a break, I've actually ended up reorganising this a little bit because I'd forgotten to put in the sweater quantities. So I've put some sweater quantities here and here, piled up the rest of the yarn on top and moved it over to make it look a bit more full. This is taking up less space than I thought it would. So I'm tempted to maybe move the speckled up onto the tonal bit maybe, and then have my mini skeins here. I'm not sure. I have got some other shelves going up that I want to put the mini skeins on, so I don't know, but we'll go through the mini skeins next. But I just wanted to show you my reorganised shelves. So I've been at this stash tour and reorganisation for more than 2 hours now, and all I've done is my hand-dyed yarn behind me. That's all we've done so far, and I'm starting to worry that I'm going to run out of energy and not be able to film the rest of this video today, so I might have to stop at some point. I might just suddenly crash thanks to long COVID, but I'll keep going until I've at least finished with the hand-dyed sock yarn, and then maybe we'll do the other I've got another cabinet with all of my commercial sock yarn in and a bag and a box to go through as well, so we might have to do that another day. We'll see how I feel once I've done the mini skeins, and then I might take a long break, like an hour, and then come back and see how I feel. So yeah, we'll go through the mini skeins, but before we do that, I have got some leftovers here. I've decided not to go through leftovers with you in this video. I might just show you them like that. I just won't go through them like bit by bit. So yeah, this is a little basket that I've got for all my leftovers. So I need to find somewhere for that to go. So I did want to show you this as well. This is undyed sock yarn, and it's that base that like most dyers seem to use in the UK. One of them's coming undone a little bit. I need to sort that out. So this is sock yarn, but it's undyed. So it's actually platinum sock from Chester Wool Co. It's actually a base that's really popular with hand dyers, and most of my stash is dyed over onto this base. So yeah, I've actually got 4 skeins of this because I was going to use it as the background colour for this blanket, but I didn't end up doing it. But I thought this could be good because I quite fancy having a go at dyeing myself, so I might buy some dye and just have a go and make a video about it. So that's kind of what I'm saving this yarn for. So I'm gonna, that one's coming apart as well. So I'm gonna put it on this shelf as well with this yarn because it's the same sort of yarn. So I'll just do that quickly. Okay, in this basket that was in the corner, I've got a bunch of mini skeins and leftovers. So I'll just show you this leftovers. I've got a box of leftovers up here, so I need to kind of like mix them together, but this is leftover sock yarn. I'm not going to go through it all bit by bit, but it's just, there's a range of sizes from about 50 grams to like barely anything in here. So there's all different ones in here, but I'm going to reunite this with the rest of my scraps that are up there. We're not going to go through scraps. I think in this video I'm a bit too tired to do that. So what's left in here is, I'll show you, this is all of my mini skeins. So these are 20 and 10 grams of hand-dyed sock yarn. Right, I'm sitting back a bit and I feel a bit better, so I'm hoping I can continue with these mini skeins. So this is from Dandelion and Dogwood again. We did have one skein of Dandelion and Dogwood. This is the pumpkin mini set from last autumn. Lovely pastel-y colours, love them. That's going to make such a beautiful project. I've got no idea what I'm going to use these mini skeins for, but like I said earlier, we are going to be putting some shelves up on the wall. I'm hoping my partner will be able to do that for me this weekend, because it's a bit too much for me and my energy levels and my disabilities. So I asked him to put up a couple of shelves for me that I've got leaning against a wall over here, and I want to display all of my mini skeins on those shelves. So I'm going to be keeping all of my minis in this basket for now, but they're not going to kind of live there, if that makes sense. So yeah, so that's the first mini. And then I've got two mini sets here. These are from Wild Pearl Yarns, and these are her ones from last autumn again. This one is Autumn Came with Gold, and it's all various golden colours. They're a lot more different in real life. They all look very similar on the camera, but in real life they're very different. They've got like, some of them have got pink and purple speckles, some have got brown speckles, etc. And then this is the Autumn Foraging mini skein set. This is beautiful, isn't it? So beautiful. So yeah, I kind of want to use those together in a project, but I've got no idea what projects. There's 5, they're 20 gram, yeah, 20 gram ones. And I didn't say this earlier, but Wild Pearl Yarns actually uses a different base compared to some of the other ones. So most of the sock yarn bases are usually 75 or 80% superwash merino, but this is 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon. And I don't know if I bring it up close to the camera, hopefully you'll be able to see, but they're a bit fuzzier and a bit softer than the rest of the sock yarn because it's got that higher merino yarn content. And yeah, really like it, really like her colourways. Most of the year she does like pastel, like bright pastel colours, which aren't me, but her autumn colours I love. So yeah, so those are some mini skein sets. And then I've got a lot of loose mini skeins. We'll try and go through some of them. So this first one is a mini skein, but I wound it up and then used a little bit and then wound it back up because I didn't like it. So that actually is a mini skein, even though it's sort of caked up. I think this might be from Giddy Aunt Yarns, you know, the one that I said had stopped dyeing. A lot of these mini skeins aren't labelled, so I can't tell you what dyer it is. I'm pretty sure this is a Beehive Yarns one though. That's beautiful, isn't it? With the bright green speckles. Then I've got this very muted dusty pink. Lavender purple, not a colour I use very much. I don't use much purple, but I do quite like this one. I think a lot of these might be from Lonely Mountain Yarns, because I'm sure this colour specifically was from her. I bought a sea glass mini set, used some of the minis in this, but this was one of the ones I didn't because it's too bright. It's a very bright, like aqua green, bright blue. This looks like it's a high twist base, that's red. I don't have much red in my yarn collection actually. And this is another dusty pink, but it's much more of a deeper, brighter dusty pink. I've got more of that bright blue actually. Like I'm not a massive fan of these bright blues, to be honest. These bright blues. I'm tempted to put those in with the other yarns, you know, for the giveaway. Because blue's not really, bright blue like this is not really my colour. I might put that as a bonus in with the giveaway. That bright blue there, that can go with the other giveaway yarns. And then that I'm going to keep in my stash, the slightly brighter one. We've got some more blues here. These are much more my sort of blues. So this is like a duck egg blue. Quite a bright duck egg though. And then this is more of like a steel grey blue. That's on the high twist sock base. I wonder where I got that. That's lovely. I think that might have come from a Beehive Yarns mystery mini set. That might be Beehive Yarns, that one. And we got some more. All the minis I've shown you so far are 20-gram sets. So here's one that's like a beige. There's another purple there. It's a bit more of a brighter, pinker purple. I quite like that one. And we've got another beige. I don't know where all these beiges have come from. This is a Beehive Yarns one. It's cream with those green and blue speckles. I'm pretty sure this is, I won't get it out now because it's like at the bottom, but this might be like a mini version of that, the cream one with the green speckles from that Winter Woodland Christmas Eve box. So I think that might be a mini version of that from a mystery set. I think this one's from a one of her mysteries as well. That's lovely. It's like a grey blue with green speckles. And then this one's labelled. This is Giddy Aunt Yarns. So this is from that yarn dyer in Northern Ireland that doesn't dye anymore, and it's like a peachy terracotta variegated. Oh, it's actually labelled. It's labelled one of a kind terracotta. It's very lovely. I might bring that a bit closer actually. Love this sort of colour, orangey pink. And then we've got some more minis in this little bag. So I think these, no, most of the minis in this bag are 10-gram ones from Hedgerow Yarns, but I've got some odd ones in here, so we'll look through those first. Okay, I think the rest of these are 10-gram ones, but I can see some little 5-yarn balls as well. So these look like they're all from Quack Yarn. So I had one ball of Quack yarn. Oh, I never actually opened these back up so you can see them. I wanted to see that yarn behind me. So yeah, so these are all from Quack Yarns. This is very bright. I quite like that. I quite like bright minis. Like, I know that I wouldn't ever like make myself something in this colour, this bright pink, because it will really wash me out. But the minis are quite cute, the bright colours. This one's lovely. These are all from Quack Yarns, these three. So that's really nice. And then this one is bright blue again. I'm really not sure I'd use that, but I've already decided I'm getting rid of a blue, so maybe I keep this blue. Or maybe I put this one in the... Oh, these are 10-gram ones. I thought these were 20. Oh, those ones are 10-gram ones. I quite like that, and it's called Yorkshire. It's the colour is called Yorkshire, so I feel like I need to keep that. I need to keep these 10-gram ones separate from my 20-gram ones. So in this bag of minis, I think are mostly 10-gram minis from Hedgerow Yarns. She calls them like little tiddlers or something. And whenever I order some yarn from her, I just add a pack of them in, like a pack of 5 or a pack of 10 in of them, and they're so cool. So yeah, I'll show you them. I'll maybe show you a handful at a time because I've got a lot of them and they're going to be quite difficult to show. That's the scrap, that shouldn't be there. Okay, so I've got 5 here to show you. Oh, can't hold them. There we go. There are my 5. So there's 5. I'm going to count how many tiddlers I've got actually. So I've got 5. I'm not going to be counting the mini skeins in my, you know, I said I was going to count them as I go. I'm not going to be counting the mini skeins. If you're interested, we're up to 98 hand-dyed 100-gram or 50-gram or sock sets of hand-dyed yarn. So 98. That's a lot more than I thought I had, and I feel like I need to. Oh, I didn't include those cream ones, I don't think. So that makes 102. I might have miscounted, but 102 sock yarn is too many for one person. I need to use some. Well, this comes as a set, so that's nice. I can just pull them out. So these are 6. So there's 6 in this set. These are kind of like cream with different colour speckles apart from that purple one on the end. So they're cool, they're kind of pastel-y. I've got some crinkling in here, so we'll do those next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a 6 mini skein set from Hedgerow Yarns again. I've got loads of these Hedgerow Yarns tiddlers. I should do a project with them because they're really beautiful. Maybe I should do like a scarf or something with all of the different colours. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Okay, so here's a set of 4. Pretty. So pretty. I think I've got doubles of some, but never mind. I'll use them, I'm sure. So there's 3 more. They're so tiny and diddly. So tiddly. Well, I suppose she calls them little tiddlers, so yeah. I mean, they're only 10 grams, but they're so cute. So, so cute. I might count how many I've got of these. There's 2 more. So pretty. Lots of speckles and lots of bright colours, which is fun because that's not what's in most of my stash. There's another odd one I've just found. Pretty. And then the last set is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a set 5. I've got a lot of them. Glasses are sliding down my nose. There we go. So there they all are. So they're at the 5, another set 5. I feel a bit better now. I've slowed down a bit and I've just sat back a bit and had a rest. So that's good. And then what's left in this little bag here, I'm not going to get them all out. These are called yarnlings and they're from Eden Cottage Yarns, who's a dyer that I don't have any yarn from anymore, I don't think. But these are like 5 gram little balls that she calls yarnlings, and they're really, really cute too. So yeah, I'm just going to count how many tiddlers I've got. So I've just laid them all out here so you can see them all together. There's that crinkly packet of them. So I've got 32 10 gram little tiddlers. So that's 320 grams. So I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but aren't they really pretty all together? All of the different colours. So, so pretty. Okay, I'm going to put all the mini skeins away now. So here are all of my sock yarn leftovers. This is from like an advent and various pairs of socks and projects I've made. So I've got some leftovers here and I've also got some bigger leftovers in this bag. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to fit them all in this box because I want to kind of reunite them. So I've got all my scraps and leftovers in one place. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with these, but I will think of something of how to sort of reunite them, but for now they can go back on the shelves sort of together but not in the same box. So yeah, these are all of my leftover bits of sock yarn. Bag's got quite a lot in and it's a bit tangled as well, so yeah. So I've had a break and I've had a think about the rest of this video. I think what I'm going to do to make my life a little bit easier is to not show you every ball of yarn that I have now. We've been through all of the really interesting, colourful hand-dyed yarn that I wanted to show up close to the camera, but the rest of the yarn is generally just like one colour, like a solid, and it's commercial, most of it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to only show you maybe 1 or 2 balls of yarn from that yarn up close to the camera so you can kind of see what the texture's like of the yarn. But other than that, I'm going to try and build up the pace a bit as well to try and get it all done in one day. I don't think I will get it all done in one day because I'm already feeling quite tired, but we'll see how far we get. We'll see how far we get. So I'll start with a couple of random balls of yarn that I found in the cabinet that are leftovers for some sweaters I knitted in the spring. So this first bit is 1 and a bit skeins of a yarn called Rowan Patina. So this is a DKW mohair blend. It's got wool in there as well, I think, and it's got sparkles. If I bring it up close to the camera, hopefully you can see those sparkles in it. And I knitted a ranunculus in this. That's quite a popular pattern that you might have heard of before. So I knitted a ranunculus in this, and it is a nice yarn. It's just not very nice to knit with because it's so sticky because of all of that mohair. So I think I'm going to keep the little bits I've got in case I ever need to repair the sweater that I've got, or if I need to mend it. So I'm going to keep the little bits of leftovers, but I've got a whole ball of this that is unused, so I'm going to create a box, and in that box I'm going to put in for destash. Whether I sell the yarn, whether I give it away, or whether I give it away on the channel, I have got a big bag. I'll put a photo in now. I've got a big bag of all of my acrylic DK yarn leftovers because I don't want to use acrylic yarn anymore. So I sorted all of that out. I wound them all up with my yarn winder and some of them by hand, and I put them all in a bag, and I'm actually going to see if I can gift it to, there's a local knitting group that I still haven't gotten around to going to, so I'm going to see if there's someone that maybe makes blankets or baby clothes or something for the hospital and donates them, because my nan used to do that quite a lot. So I might do that with sort of any leftovers that I've got, or I might sell it. I'm not sure yet. I've already like pulled out the really interesting expensive hand-dyed yarn to give away to one of you, but the rest of the yarn I'm going to see if I can give it away locally rather than post it across the world, because you know, this is just regular yarn you can buy sort of in yarn shops and online and things. So yeah, so that's a ball of Rowan, and we've got another ball of leftovers here. So this is Rowan Kid Silk Haze. This is actually a discontinued colour. This is a Laceweight mohair silk blend. Don't know how many metres it is. It's 25 grams. 210 meters, and this is one ball I've got left of this because I used the rest in a jumper that I knitted in the spring that I've not actually got to wear yet because by the time I'd finished it was too hot to wear mohair. So I'm looking forward to having some cosy mohair this winter. But yeah, so I've got a skein of this left. I'll bring it right up close to the camera. So it's really fuzzy mohair yarn, and I think the colour's like mulberry. I want to say the colour was called Mulberry. It doesn't actually say on it, it just has a code. It's colour 679. But yeah, it's really nice. So I'm not going to keep this for mending because I've actually got some, I've got small leftovers of it wound. I held it double with a hand-dyed yarn that I've got leftovers of this hand-dyed yarn here. I'm going to keep this and use that for mending rather than this. So that's going to go in the bye-bye box. So those were the two oddballs that I found. We've also got a basket of Laceweight to go through, and I am actually going to whiz through the Laceweight really quickly because when I first started this channel in February last year, so February 2023, I had COVID and I was too unwell to film my first ever podcast. So what I did instead is I took you through my yarn stash that I had then, and I went through my Laceweight yarn in a lot of detail in that video. I'll link it up in the corner. So if you're interested in Laceweight yarn, that video shows it all in a lot more detail, but I will whiz through it quickly with you. But before we do that, I've got 3 sweater quantities of yarn to go with you, including my most recent acquisition, and it's a yarn that's really popular that I've not tried before. It's an American yarn called Cascade 220. It's really popular for sweaters, and it is 100% Peruvian Highland wool, and it's mulesing free, which is something that I look for in all of my yarn, that they're mulesing free, because due to like cruelty and things. So this is 200 meters per 100 grams. It knits up kind of like a heavy double knit or an Aran weight yarn. And the colour that I've got is called Shire, because if you saw some of those sock sets earlier or seen the first few episodes of my podcast last year, I'm a little bit obsessed with anything to do with Lord of the Rings and yarn. And yeah, this is called Shire. And it's just the most hobbitiest green. It's got, if I bring it up to the camera, I'm hoping you can see. Oh yeah, you can see. So it's kind of like, it's heathered with gold. So it's kind of got this golden tinge to it, but it's still got all of that beautiful foresty green, and it's not too like olive green, and it's not too like bluey green. It's like perfect deep green. The problem with it is I want to knit a cabled cardigan with it, and the cables aren't showing up very well on my swatches, but my plan is to knit a cabled cardigan with this. I've got 8 skeins of this. This is a commercial yarn, but it is hanked up like a hand-dyed yarn. But yeah, so I've got 8 skeins of that to use. Another yarn that I've got a sweater's quantity of, I've got 8.5 balls of. Okay, I've readjusted the camera because I was a little bit cut off there. So yeah, this is a yarn called Haworth Tweed by Serda, and it's a DK weight yarn that I'm actually knitting a jumper at the minute. I'm using an orange colour plus this for the colour work. So, and I bought 2 10 packs of the 2 colours I was using, but I only used 1.5 balls of this for the colour work. So I've still got 8.5 balls of this left. This is a tweed DK weight yarn that's a 50% merino, 50% nylon blend. It feels a little bit weird, but it's quite soft. It's not like a rustic yarn, but I have a feeling it's going to bobble and pill quite badly because it's quite loosely spun. But this is a sort of pinky grey beige with black and orange flecks of tweed in it. So it's a tweed yarn. So yeah, I've got 8.5 balls of this, and I'm undecided if I'm keeping this. My plan is to keep my 8.5 balls of yarn until I've worn the sweater that I'm knitting it in a different colour next, and see how bobbly that gets. If it's too many bobbles for me, I'm going to sell it, I think. Yeah, I've got a sweater's quantity, so yeah, I'm going to sell it basically if I think it bobbles too much. But I'm going to hold on to it till then, because if it doesn't, I'm going to knit another sweater with this colour. And then the last sweater quantity of yarn I've got is one I bought recently for a Christmas cardigan. I got the yarn, I swatched it up. It's a colourwork Christmas cardigan. I'm going to talk about it in my next podcast. I won't talk about it now, and I won't talk about the yarn that I've bought that I've cast on this project for. So I should probably say I have got more yarn than I'm going to show in this video, but those are ones that are currently attached to a project. So I'm not going to show any yarn that's already being used and worked on with a project, even though the leftovers from that project are going to come back into stash. This isn't my entire yarn collection, just my entire yarn stash that's not currently being used. So I won't talk about the yarn that I bought for that Christmas cardigan. I'll talk about that in my podcast. But this is the yarn that I bought for the first one. So I've got 7 balls of this pale grey, 3 balls of this red, and then 1 ball of this dark grey. So this is a yarn, I'll show you the red one because the red one's the nicest colour. So this is a yarn called Pernilla by Filcolana, and it's 100% Peruvian Highland wool. It's 175 meters in 50 grams, and I believe it's a sport weight or a heavy fingering weight. Yeah, and this colour is 804 Merlot, which is beautiful. It's lovely. I really want to knit something with this colour, like all over this colour would be lovely. It's kind of got almost like, it doesn't show up on camera, but it's kind of almost got like a purple heather effect to it with the red. It's lovely. So yeah, I did buy this to do a cardigan in these colours. So that's the pale grey, the red and the grey, but I've actually decided I'm using a different yarn that's more rustic and better for colour work, and that is red with white patterns instead to make it more Christmassy. So I'm not sure what I'm going to use this yarn for, but there is a sweaters quantity here for when I do want to use it. So that adds 1, 2, 8, 10, 18, 29 balls of yarn to that 102 from earlier. So we're now on 131 balls of yarn in my stash. And we get, out for those 131, I am getting rid of 5. That's really bad. I should be getting rid of more yarn than that. I need to give myself a talking to. I just can't. I can't let go of yarn. I can't. It's hard. And now I have a room to store it in. I have even less reason to give it away. Okay, we'll run through that basket of lace weight yarn next. Okay, so here is my basket of lace weight yarn, and I will go through it. I haven't bought any more, or I think gotten rid of any since the last time I did this in 2023. So I think it's time I actually got rid of some of this. Okay, so I have got 10 balls of Debbie Bliss Rialto lace in 3 different colours. I have got some of this that I started a project with that I need to unwind, so there is some more of this that needs to come back into stash because I didn't like the project. So I have got, oh, I should tell you about the yarn first. So it's Debbie Bliss Rialto lace, extra fine merino wool. It's a superwash lace weight yarn, 50 grams, 390 meters, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got 4 balls of white. I have got 2.5 balls of cream. I've got 3 balls of this golden beigey colour, and I've got 1 ball of this pink colour. I'm not going to tell you what colours they are because they've just got codes on. And my plan for these was to hold them double with some sock yarn to use them up, and I completely forgot that I had these. So these need to be more in my eye level so that I use them, because I could make something really lovely held double with a white, and it would kind of calm down some of those variegated yarns, the more busy yarns, I think. So I need to actually use this. I'm going to keep all of this in my stash until I've decided what I'm using it for, because that could potentially go with... So do you remember that I showed you this yarn earlier? I've got 4 skeins of it from Camel's Yarn. Do they go together? I think they kind of do, you know, to kind of make a tweedy colour. I've got some of this, I've got 2, 3 balls of it, but I know I've got some to wind up and come back, another ball of it to come back into stash from a project that I'm going to unwind. But I think they could go together quite well, and it would warm up this more cool gold colour. Yeah, that's really good actually. Oh, that's good, so that means I can actually use some of this lace weight yarn. I'll put that back. Okay, so next we've got, so I said earlier that I went through a lace knitting phase, so I have got some lace weight yarn. This is some leftover Rialto lace from, I'm sure I knit my mum a shawl in this colour. I don't know what happened to it, but yeah, I'm sure I knitted it to her. I must have given it to her. And then I've got a full skein of this beautiful burgundy, pinky burgundy lace weight yarn that would look lovely doubled up with something. This is from Fibre. It's their lace scrumptious, 45% silk, 55% merino, and there's 1,000 meters in there, so that could be a good option to hold double with some sock weight yarn. I think I need to actually do this because that would help me use up my lace stash. So that's a keep. I'm kind of saving all of the not keeps till last. I've got some more of that fibre spate stuff that I've got some leftovers here actually. Let me untangle it. Okay, so this is all leftovers from a shawl that I knitted in 2016. I remember this shawl vividly because it's the shawl that I knitted, that was the year that I applied to midwifery courses, so I had to travel to various places in the country to have interviews to study to be a midwife, and I knitted this during that time. I remember knitting it on these really long train journeys. I was getting on at 5 a.m. I knitted this really complex lace shawl in this colour. I couldn't tell you what colour it is, but it is that fibre spate scrumptious lace again. It was my favourite yarn. I made 3 shawls, I think, in that Laceweight yarn. Yeah, and I've got some red. I've got some to unwind of this red. It's the same one again. Do I want to keep that? I think I will keep it, you know. I think I'm going to keep the scrumptious lace because it's a lovely colour, look. It's like a cherry red. I don't know how much is there because I haven't actually made... I started a couple of shawls in this and then ended up ripping it back, but I don't know if I ended up just giving, like... There must be in a bag somewhere. Yeah, there's 91 grams of that, so some of that's been used, so there must be some to unwind somewhere. But yeah, I think that's quite lovely. I could maybe hold that double with some sock as well. And then my last colour in fibre spates... Where is it? Yeah, so this is leftovers from a shawl. So I remember this is called, the colour of this one's called Oyster. I don't remember the names of the colours of the other ones. But yeah, this was a shawl that I knitted as well, but there's still a fair amount of that left. How much of that is left? 35 grams. I don't know whether to keep this or not. I feel like 35 grams is quite a good quantity. It's a neutral that I can hold double, so it's staying. I said I was going to get rid of all of this lace yarn, but I just can't. I can't. Right, yeah, let's talk about this one next, because this I definitely have a bit of a shawl to unwind. This is lovely. I'm sure no. I'm sure that I had the label for this. I'm sure this is a hand-dyed lace yarn from Eden Cottage Yarns from years and years ago, and I don't remember the colour. It's really hard to show on camera. It's a very deep teal. How much of this have I got? I'm sure I've got a bit of a shawl to unravel and add back to this. Yes, there's 96 grams there. Shall I part with it? I said I was going to part with some of this yarn and I haven't yet, so this is going in the goodbye pile. Goodbye. Okay, next up we've got some more yarn that I think is goodbye. I think this is some hand-dyed Laceweight again. I think this and the next one I'll show you are all from Eden Cottage Yarns, but I'm not 100% sure on that because I don't have any of the labels. This is just a cream Laceweight yarn. How much of that have I got? 64 grams. Okay, and yeah, this grey, I'm sure this grey. Oh, I haven't unwound it. Bloody hell, look, it's all still attached to the original shawl that I gave up on. I just went off knitting shawls. I've got 2 whips in here. They're a bit tangled up, so I'll untangle it off camera because I can't be asked to do it now. But yeah, so this was the shawl that I've started in it, and this is the colour. I'm sure this is an Eden Cottage Yarns one. Like maybe Titus? Maybe Titus, that sounds familiar. It's all tangled up with another one, which is another hand-dyed yarn that's like this aqua colour that can definitely leave my stash. I'm never going to wear this. It's too bright. It's like a bright turquoise. And then I've got 2 attempts at making a shawl that need unwound for that, so that needs to go on my unwound bit. And then this, what is this? This is not, I remember what this is. So this is a dark grey yarn, and if you can have a look, it is technically Laceweight, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 strands of that Laceweight yarn wound up together, and that came with a kit. So I've got a kit I got for Christmas years ago that was for an amigurumi cat. Cute, and his ears are a bit squished, but he's cute, isn't he? So it was like a little kit that I got for Christmas, and that's the leftovers from it. That's technically Laceweight, but it's more like when it's crocheted up, it's wool. So I feel like that's kind of like an odd one out. I'll leave it with the Laceweight for now, but yeah. So I think the 2 that are, these 2 that have got bits that need unwinding, they're going to go in the goodbye pile because I don't want either of those. And I got rid of 4 Laceweight yarn balls there, so that was actually quite good of me. What's that? Oh, I just put the cat back in the basket rather than the yarn. So I'm going to keep this, if you can see, so I'm going to keep this pile here of Laceweight yarn, and if when I do my yarn stash tour next year, because I want to start doing this video every year, if I decide that if I've still not used them, it's going. That's my plan, because then I'm never going to use it. So I need to actually pull these out and use them. Otherwise, what's the point of having yarn if you're not going to use it? So yeah, I'll keep all of that. So I've put all of that lace weight yarn back, and we had 12 full or nearly full balls of yarn. Some of them were 100 grams, some were 50 grams, but I'm counting balls. So that's another 12 to add to our total. So let me add all of this up so far. Oh, I realised I didn't actually include the 4 that I'm getting rid of. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's actually 16 lace weight skeins. And did I include the 2 in there? I think I did include the other 2 that are in the goodbye basket. So that is 16 lace weight balls of yarn, and then add that to my 139 that I was up to. So I'm now on 155 balls of yarn, and we've still got another cabinet, a box and a massive bag to go through. I definitely have a yarn buying problem. Let's have a look at the yarn that's in the cabinet that's actually behind the camera at the minute. So I'll just pick up the camera and show you, sort of give you a little tour of the cabinet that's over here. So this is the other cabinet in my craft room where I have yarn, and my craft room's very small, so this is the best angle I could get you to show you it. It's actually a dresser, so there's a cupboard down there and then this cupboard up here. The cupboard that's down there doesn't have any yarn in, I don't think. I use it primarily for storing unfinished projects, and also for all of my like filming and photography equipment for the channel. So I'm going to pull everything out of here and go through it ball by ball with you as well. But as a general overview, this middle shelf here is my favourite yarn to crochet with. So this is extra fine merino in a double knit weight. So my plan is to do a stash busting blanket of this yarn, and although I'm going to pull it all out to show you, I'm going to organise it back in pretty much the same way because it fits just perfectly here. Down here I've got some cotton, and over here some chenille yarn, and some more cotton up here, and then some sweater quantities and some commercial sock yarn. So we'll go through all of that because I want to pull some of this out and reorganise it, but this shelf is going to stay the same. And then you can't see it, so I'm just going to move the camera. So above this cabinet we've also got these mini balls of Skeins Stone and River washed. So I think they're like 10 gram, little 10 gram balls. So I have only used those for like colour planning yet, and then those boxes just have some yarn pegs in for planning. And then I'll show you where else I've got yarn stashed in my office. So the other place that I've got yarn stashed in my craft room is up in a box on top of here. This box here, this is other craft supplies, but this box here, this pink box, is yarn. So we're going to go through that next. That's got, I believe, some Stylecraft Naturals bamboo and cotton in, and I definitely want to get rid of some of that. So we'll go through that next. And then after that, I've got a bag of yarn that I haven't yet brought into my craft room, so we'll go through that bag next. Okay, I thought we'd start with this box first. I'm hoping I can show it to you without getting too much glare off the window. So this, I'm not going to count in my number of balls of yarn, but we have got 48 10 gram balls of I think you say it's Skeins Stone and River washed, which is a sport weight yarn, I believe. So there are only 26 meters per ball of yarn, and I've been using these. I like having them on display in my craft room to look at because there's some beautiful bright colours, and I do want to use them at some point. I have no plans at the minute. I was thinking maybe Christmas decorations, that could be quite fun to make from them, but at the minute all I've used them for is to kind of like put some colour palettes together. I would love to make a blanket in this yarn at some point because I know it's a popular blanket making yarn, but it's not the cheapest yarn to make a whole blanket out of. So we'll see. I'll have a go at crocheting with it and see if I want to commit to this yarn for a blanket. There is an Aran weight version as well. So yeah, we'll see. So that's the Skeins Stone washed, and that lives on the top of my cabinet. Okay, starting with the top shelf of that cabinet, I have quite a few little balls of cotton. It's either Serda Cotton DK, or I can't say the name of this maker of the yarn. It's this yarn here, Catania. This is, I believe, it's like a sport weight cotton, and I bought these to combine with a box of yarn that I've got, which is Stylecraft Naturals bamboo and cotton. Stylecraft bamboo and cotton, most of the colours are quite pastel-y, so I wanted some of my favourite colours to mix in with it. I don't have a particular project in mind for that yet, but I will show you that box of yarn later so you can see that this kind of fills in some of those colour gaps. So I've made the decision that that cabinet that we're looking through next, I'm not going to reorganise it today. I'm just going to pull out the yarn as we go, and then I'll count it all at the end, just because trying to preserve some energy levels here. So the next yarn is some more Rowan Patina. This is that same yarn that I showed in my leftovers earlier. This was the colour Old Gold. This one doesn't have a name and I can't remember it, but basically it's the same yarn but in a soft pink. And I have 6 balls of this yarn to use. That's a sweater's quantity again. And what I'm thinking is I didn't particularly enjoy knitting with this yarn, so I'm going to see if I can use it on my Centro knitting machine to make a cardigan, and that'll be like a project that I'll vlog on this channel. If I can't, this is on the chopping block. I may get rid of this, and the sun has just come out, so I'm sorry for any changes in lighting. This morning it was a lovely overcast day, which gives great lighting for these videos, but now we've got sort of sun coming in and out of clouds, so I'm sorry for any lighting changes or if anything is too much in shadow for the rest of this video. So yeah, this yarn is potentially on the chopping block, but I'm going to keep it for now to see if I can actually run it through my Centro knitting machine. If not, I will sell it. Next up, we have got a cotton blend. This is 53% cotton, 33% viscose and 14% linen. This is a yarn called Drops Bell. It's a DK weight summer yarn. I've got 9 balls of the colour 2, which I think is called like natural, and then I've got 2 balls of the navy colour, which is colour 20, and my plan for this was to make a cream t-shirt with dark blue navy stripes on it this summer, and I tried and I couldn't get it right, so I'm saving this yarn for next summer. I am going to be using this yarn. This yarn is not leaving my stash. I'm going to try and make a cotton t-shirt in this yarn next summer. So the next group of yarn to look through is commercial sock yarn. So this is sock yarn that's not hand dyed, it's just sort of commercially available in yarn shops. So I have got 3 balls of West Yorkshire Spinners Signature. And West Yorkshire Spinners is based in Keighley, which is not far from where I used to live. We live sort of the other side of Leeds now, but we used to live up near Keighley. So this is a 75% wool, 25% nylon, 4-ply yarn, 400 metres per 100 gram ball. And this is the shade, I think this one is called Mallard. Is it on it? Oh, Pheasant. It's called Pheasant. They've got like a range of ones that are inspired by birds. And then this one I think is called Nutmeg. This is just a solid that I was planning to use this for the toe, heel and cuff of a pair of socks, and that as sort of the main colour because this is a self-striping yarn. So those are kind of for some autumny socks. And then this, I've used a little bit of this yarn for the toes, heels and cuffs of a pair of socks I knitted last Christmas. This colour I think is called Dusty Miller, but I've got most of this ball left, so I'm going to count it in my ball my ball count. That sounds bad, but the count of balls of yarn in my stash that we're getting to. So yeah, there's 70 grams left of that, so I'm going to count that as a full ball. And then we've got, this is leftovers. There's not a huge amount of this left. It's also not that yarn that's in the label. This is a Regia yarn. I can't remember what the colourway is. It's one of the Anne and Carlos ones. It's a self-striping yarn. I made a pair of socks in this last Christmas. That's the colour that I use. I used to use this as a self-striping yarn for the main part of the sock, and then that for the toe, heel and cuff. So that was kind of a set there. And then I've got this ball that's come out of its label. So this is a new sock yarn from Yarnsmith, so Yarnsmith's merino sock, and they sent me this so I could swatch it to see if it would work for a yarn pack for this blanket, and it did. So yeah, this colour I think is like deep teal. It doesn't have a colour name on it, just a code, but yeah. So that's the Yarnsmith merino sock. I should probably knit that up into socks because I've got quite a lot of it left. I only used a little bit for my swatch. So there is, yeah, 85 grams left of that, so that's easily enough for a pair of socks. And then the last 2 skeins is probably my favourite commercial sock yarn. I have knit a pair of socks of this before and it's probably my favourite pair of socks. This is Socks Yeah by Coop Knits, which I think is the same company as Fibre, so that Laceweight yarn we talked about before. And this colour is Citrine and this colour is Axonite. So those 2 colours, I'm probably not going to use them in the same pair of socks together, but they are really nice. I really like the feel of it. So yeah, it's my favourite commercial sock yarn. So I'll pop all this sock yarn next, and then next we've got a little box of yarn to go through. God, okay. Where did that roll to? Where did that roll? So next I've got some non-sock commercial 4-ply yarn. So I've got 2 skeins of, it's a little bit battered, the label, because I've had this for like 10 years. I don't know, I've had this yarn so long and I've not used it. I should probably use it. It's Rialto 4-ply in a beautiful teal colour, but I don't know what I want to use it for. I think it would make a lovely hat or pair of gloves maybe. I want to keep this. This is definitely on the keep. And then I've got this little box of leftover 4-ply. I'm not going to go through it, but there's a bunch of stuff from, I made a blanket in 2012 and I've got the leftovers in here and I've not used them. So yeah, that's quite long. And then I've got this dark grey and light grey was once a shawl that I'd half crocheted and then given up and stopped. So yeah, so I'm not going to go through that little box of merino 4-plies. This is all 100% merino 4-ply. I think this grey is Drops baby merino, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So I'll just pop these back. Hi, I am still here. I've just moved the camera around because I don't think I've got the energy to show you these ball by ball. So this whole middle shelf here, like I said earlier, this is all extra fine merino DK. All of the stuff on this side, you see where there's like green yarn just there in a diagonal line. That diagonal line across is all Drops merino extra fine. That's their DK extra fine merino. Like I said, I'm planning on doing a stash busting blanket for this straight after the one that I'm working on at the minute. So over here is a whole load of different, I'll come out the way actually because it's going to try and focus on my face. So this bit, the other side of the green yarn, this is all a whole range of different brands of double knit extra fine merino, and the extra fine merino that I really like to crochet with, I'll get one to show you up close, just this one. So I really like the really sort of elasticy DK weight yarn for extra fine merino yarn for crochet. They look really good. It kind of puffs out quite a lot for your stitches. So yeah, I've got quite a lot of this. I've got a bunch of from, you can't even see that label, from Sublime. I've got some Debbie Bliss Rialto DK, and I've got some Serda, what's this one? Yeah, some of this has cashmere in it as well. Some of it's a cashmere merino silk blend, but it's got a very similar texture. That is one from Serda. So I'm going to keep all of this merino yarn on this shelf because, like I said, I want to make a stash busting blanket with it, maybe patchwork or maybe granny squares. I've not quite decided yet for that. And then some of that's from sort of like the more me colours, and then those brights at the end, I'm going to save those because they're great for tutorials. This yarn has really good stitch definition, so they're good for tutorials, so I'm hanging on to those. Then down here on the bottom shelf, all of this here up to about here, where you see those big balls of yarn, this is all Drops Paris. That's an Aran weight 100% cotton yarn, and I'm keeping that mainly for amigurumi and for tutorials. I've got basically all of their colours here that they do at the minute. I haven't got a project in mind, but whenever I want to do something like amigurumi or maybe some decorative garlands for in this office, that's the yarn I'll probably use. Then in this corner is, oh, I should show you a ball of that actually. So I'll show you this one because I've used a bit of it. So this is what Drops Paris looks like up close. It's quite a soft 100% cotton yarn. It's a little bit stiff when you work it up. It's not the most drapey cotton yarn in the world, but it's really good for amigurumi. So there's that. And then yeah, this yarn over here, I'll pull this one out. So I actually won these 5 balls of yarn on a giveaway Christmas 2022 on Instagram. I can't remember who was giving it away. It was like an amigurumi account, and yeah, I won it just randomly. There were like hundreds of entries and I was really shocked that I won it. Yeah. So it is Woolens Yarns Bunny Baby. It's like a chenille yarn. I'll bring it up close. So it's a chenille yarn that's good for amigurumi. I've used a little bit of this bright red right in this corner, I don't know if you can see it, to make my cat a cat toy to try it out, but other than that I've not used this. And it was a Christmas bundle. We've got the red, the green, and then some neutrals there. So I do actually want to use this to make some Christmas decorations this year, maybe a snowman or something like that. Snowman with a green scarf, something like that. So yeah, I do want to use it, so I'm not going to get rid of it. But this really bright red I don't like. So that is on the chopping block, that one. If I don't use it this Christmas, it's going in the goodbye pile. Okay, and then the final box of yarn was from on the top of that cabinet. And this is my Stylecraft Naturals bamboo and cotton collection. I got most of this yarn really cheap in a clearance sale for an online yarn shop that was shutting down. I'm using some of this for my next version of my Yorkshire blanket. So I've pulled out my favourite colours and some cream to use for the background. So some of this yarn is being used and some of it's going to come back into stash. But these are kind of the reject colours from that. So I do want to get rid of some of these, so we are going to be putting some on the chopping block. So let's go through the colours. So this is definitely a keep. It's a dusky pink. I've seems to have pulled the label off of this, so I couldn't tell you what colour it was, but it's lovely. It's like a dusky pink, so nice. And then this one, I know the colour of this, but it hasn't got a label. This is the colour Cameo. It was very, very close to whether I included that in my blanket or not. Okay, this is the colour Aqua, and I use this for swatching, which is why it's been sort of used and then rolled out. And this is a really bright aqua colour, but I quite like it, but I'm not sure what I'd use it for. But because it hasn't got a label and I've wound it, I'm not going to get rid of that one. I'm not going to sell that one. This is a sell. This is the colour Espresso, and it's kind of like a browny black colour, a black brown. I'm not going to use that. Yeah, I don't really like that, so that's going in the goodbye pile. This one's probably going in the goodbye pile as well. It's kind of like a periwinkle colour. It's called Cornflower. It's like a purple blue, not my colour at all. So that's going in the goodbye pile. This one I'm on the fence about. This is pretty much the only yellow that they do in this range of yarn, and it's a really pale bright yellow. I think it's called Buttermilk. Yeah, it's called Buttermilk. I think that's a goodbye. I don't like this yellow. I can't see me using it. Goodbye. It's quite handy because I've got two baskets down here now. The one that I'm, boxes even, the one that I'm going through and the one that's got all of my giveaway yarn in. There is some in here that needs to be like unwound and round up. So this is what the goodbye box is looking like. Okay, here's the next colour. This is silver. I'm going to keep this. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the rest of this yarn. I've got some sweater quantities of this yarn in this box at the bottom, so potentially combine it with that. This one I don't know about either. I'm undecided about this colour. This is the colour Sky. Yeah, I'll keep that for now. And then this is the colour Powder Blue. I've used it and then wound it back up. But I'm actually thinking of using this for the border for my Yorkshire blanket, even though I haven't used this in the main part of the blanket. I think this really sets off the other blues in that blanket nicely. So this is potentially going to be a border colour. So that's obviously a keep. This and this, these are some purples. I don't really do purple. They're quite nice grey, dusky purple that I think would look nice, but I haven't got a sweater's quantity of them, so there's no point me hanging on to them. But I think someone could make something really beautiful out of those two colours together. They're just kind of like two shades of the two different colours, so they can go in the goodbye pile. This one I'm on the fence about as well. It's more of a bright pinky purple. Now I'm holding it up to the camera. I think that's a goodbye. I don't think I'm going to use that. We're getting down to the bits where there's a camera quantity. Sweater quantity, not camera quantity. I don't know why I said camera. Well, I'm looking at a camera, but that's probably why. So this has been wound and used, but I know this is the colour Apricot. This was a very close contender for my Yorkshire blanket as well. So that's probably going to be a keep. Although it doesn't really go with the other colours. Never mind. This is the colour Dusk. This was a close contender as well. It's a grey, but it's kind of got purple undertones. It's like a purpley grey. Quite like that. That can stay. Are we down into the sweater quantities yet? Almost. I've got one more to show you of my single balls. This is the colour Natural. This was very close for the blanket as well. I'm going to keep that one, I think. And this is the yarn that I'm going to combine some of this with some of that cotton yarn I showed you at the beginning of this section of the cabinet, like the last cabinet, the wooden cabinet, that cotton yarn. I'm going to combine it with some of these colours to make a more me colour palette. I'm not quite sure what for. I'm thinking about making some bunting for in my office out of it. I think that could be really pretty. So next is a couple of sweater quantities. I got these in that closing down sale, so I didn't really think about the colours too much. So this is the colour Night. It's a beautiful charcoal grey with kind of a bit of a bluey undertone. It's so beautiful. I've got 5 balls of this, so it's 100 grams. How many metres is it per ball? So it's 250 metres a ball. It's 60% bamboo and 40% cotton. I probably should have told you that. So yeah, I've got 5 balls of this, and I think this would make a really lovely t-shirt. It's a summer yarn again, so I probably won't be using it until next year, but that's staying in my stash. And then we've got a ball of little samples and swatches I've done and all the labels. A bag even. I've got the rest of that night colour. So yeah, I've got 5 balls of that. One of the things I don't like about this yarn is it just comes apart so easily. The way that it's wound, really don't like that. It just gets really messy in the box. So I thought I had 5 balls of this yarn, but it looks like I've only got 4. This is the colour Bluestone. This is destined to be a t-shirt in the summer. I've got 4 balls of this. I thought I bought 5 though, so I might have one missing. And then the last 3 colours, I've got 2 balls each because the pattern that I was going to choose needed 2 balls of each, but it actually doesn't meet gauge for that crochet jumper. So I have decided that I might make these into a t-shirt as well. So I've got some t-shirt options for next year. And the 3 colours that I've got are 3 colours that I'm using in my Yorkshire blanket. And that is Thyme, Umber and Pumice. So those are the 3 colours together. I really like the combination of the 3. Potentially a stripy t-shirt maybe? Not 100% sure. I'm sorry if you're getting any crackles on the microphone. My hair keeps coming over my shoulder and getting in the microphone, so yeah. So I've got 2 balls each of this, that's 6 balls together. So I think I'm going to take an extended break from filming now. I may come back and film the rest of this yarn stash tour later on today, or you might see me in a different outfit on another day for the rest of the yarn stash tour. We have got a couple of bags of yarn left to go through, and that yarn is actually currently there's some downstairs and there's some in the bedroom, and I need to sort of bring all of that into my craft room and find a home for it all. So we'll be going through that yarn next. So it's now 2 days later and I'm ready to continue with the rest of the yarn stash tour. We're on a bit of a time crunch today because we're going out for dinner for my partner's birthday this evening, so I cannot take hours and hours and hours to film the rest of this yarn stash. So I'm hoping that this second half of the video will be a little bit shorter and a little bit more concise. So I have been through the rest of my yarn stash this morning and sorted it out into sort of categories so we can go through that. The first section of yarn that I want to talk about I don't actually have up here in my office, and that is a collection of a yarn called Debbie Bliss Baby Cash Merino, and this is some of the oldest yarn that I've got in my stash. I've had this box of bright colours for quite a long time now. I've tried to make so many different projects from it. There's been like blanket attempts and a scarf attempt, and I've just never really got anywhere with it. So my plan is to leave this box of yarn in my living room. I'm going to frog all of my failed attempts, and what I'm going to do with that yarn is I'm going to try and make a massive rainbow scarf to use up the rest of that yarn. Whether I keep it or I give that scarf is another question. It's a lovely soft cuddly yarn, so that should be quite a fun project to do. I don't usually work with such bright primary colours, so yeah, I'm quite looking forward to doing that. So that's actually going to be a whip that is coming up. I'm not sure if it's going to be a knit or a crochet yet. I'll need to do some swatches, but I'm quite excited to make that. And then anything that's left over from that scarf is going to go into my sort of basket of scraps. Because I've got quite a lot of scraps of that yarn where I've done little projects with it and I've got some bits left over. So that's the Debbie Bliss Baby Cash Merino yarn, and I counted up the full or nearly full balls of yarn. I didn't count any of the scraps and the sort of smaller partial balls, and I have 36 balls to add to that stash, and then I'll count the rest of the yarn that I've got with you as well. I have a feeling we're going to go over 400 balls of yarn, but we'll see if I'm under 400. If I'm under 400, I'm going to call that a win. I'm not acting like I've got such a big yarn stash because I've actually got some yarn that arrived in the post this morning to show you. So there is a reason this yarn is necessary. Well, 2 of the 4 balls of yarn that's come are necessary. They're just odd balls of yarn. So the first ball of yarn is actually not in my stash. It was a ball of Stylecraft Naturals bamboo and cotton that I needed to finish off the Yorkshire blanket that I'm working on at the minute. So that's actually not in my stash and it's not going to be counted. While I was there buying that ball of yarn, because it was really hard to find the colour Seafoam, so I had to order from a random yarn shop that I've never ordered from before, and I thought, seeing as I have to pay postage, I'll pick up a couple of balls of yarn as well. So I bought a ball of this. This is Stylecraft Recreate. It's a DK weight yarn that's a wool, I think it's polyester and acrylic yarn, and it's called Recreate because it's 100% recycled. And I've said before I don't really want to use acrylic and man-made fibres anymore, but I will make an exception for recycled yarns because I think they are more environmentally friendly. So I was hoping that I can use this yarn for swatching because I've got a potential cardigan pattern and a couple of potential blanket patterns I've got planned for 2025 that this yarn could be really good for a yarn pack for. So I just bought the colour Aubergine because it was a really dark purple and I wanted to see how dark this purple actually was, sort of up close. So yeah, and I'm going to use it for swatching. So this has a purpose. So I need to make some sort of basket because some of the other yarns I'm going to show you as well are for swatching. So I need to make a basket or a box or something for, specifically for odd balls of yarn that are for swatching. So yeah, so I've got that. I also had a look in their sale section because why not? And I noticed they had some of my favourite commercial sock yarn, the Coop Knit Socks yarn. So I bought 2 balls of that. They were the last 2 in these 2 colours. I didn't really like any of the other colours that was on sale. So this colour is 130 Carnelian. It's a beautiful maroon. I've got some scraps of a colour of this yarn called Ammonite, which is like a dusty pink, and I might use those scraps for the toe, heel and cuff and then have that as the main colour as the sock. Then the other colour I got just because I quite like it, it's colour 104 Skein, and unsurprisingly it is a golden yellow because we all know that that is one of my favourite colours of yarn. So these are going to go in that cabinet up there with the rest of my commercial sock yarn and the other 2 skeins of Coop Knits that I've got. So yeah, I do have some additions even though I'm trying to be reducing my stash down. So the yarn we'll go through next is some bits and pieces that I found around the house that actually should be in my office, and it's got like yarn that it should be going with. So I'll grab those bags next. So I found this bag, it's got a bunch of leftovers and like square samples where I've made some for tutorials and trying out different patterns and things. So this bag I'm not counting in my yarn stash. We're up to, I need to actually write down how many balls of yarn we're up to today because I'm totally going to forget by the end of this video. That's 363. So up to 363 balls, we're going to go over 400. So this is the bag of random yarn that should be in this office that's not. So the first is some leftovers that I've got from a cardigan that I finished recently, and this is Drops Cotton Merino. I'm a fan of Drops yarn because natural fibres that are quite cheap and cost effective, so they're good for big projects. So yeah, this is Drops Cotton Merino and I think the colour is sea green. And I've got 1 full ball of this, and then I've also got 2 little partial balls. So I'm just going to weigh these because if these make 50, I'm going to call it an extra ball of yarn. So no, these only weigh 39 grams, not 50, so I'm just going to call this 1 ball of yarn. But this I'm going to keep because I really like this yarn and it's machine washable, which is brilliant. I don't have many machine washable yarn, so it'd be nice to make some sort of like hard wearing non-hand wash cardigans and jumpers for day-to-day wear rather than sort of my special hand wash hand dyed ones. So I'm going to keep this for swatching with that ball of Stylecraft Recreate. And then I also found a partial ball of the Drops Bell that I think I made my swatches in when I did a bunch of swatches at different gauges and put them in the washing machine. So I think that's a partial ball there. I'm not going to count that in the count as well, but that needs to go up with the rest of them. I also found another ball of, you know, the merino DK. I've got a lot of merino DK. So I found another ball of this in the bottom of a bag that needs to go with the rest of it. And some more merino DK in here. So if you watched, not my last episode of the podcast, I think it was the episode before, I showed a granny go round cardigan start, and I never actually said, but I've decided I don't actually like this. I think the colours are too bright for me still, even with the beigey coloured yarn in between. So the bright colours are some of that Debbie Bliss Baby Cash Merino stash, and then the beigey colour is Drops Merino Extra Fine, the DK weight merino yarn that I've got a lot of stash of in the colour light beige. And I'm going to frog this, and then I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to need to put these down somewhere. So I've got a bunch of scraps of leftovers from that jumper as well. So I think I had 10 balls of this to begin with. So when I frog it, I should still have 10 balls. So I'm going to count it as 10 in my stash. And then I found 2 more balls that were being used in that cardigan that are not Debbie Bliss Baby Cash Merino. They are the Drops Merino Extra Fine, and it's just a yellow and a pale pink. So they're going to go back with the rest of that stash for when I do that stash busting blanket that I was talking about earlier in the video. So let's add all of those that need to be added in. So that's 1, 2, 3, 10, that's 13, 14, so that's another 14. So my hope is that when I film this video next year, that I will have less than the 400 odd balls I'm going to have. That's my plan, is to try and downsize my stash. But it depends on what projects and stuff I need to get done and which patterns and tutorials I do this year, well, next year, 2025. Kind of the year up until September. I don't know if anybody else in the UK that starts school in September, like when they were younger, September still feels like a new year to me, even though, like, yeah, I haven't been at school for such a long time. But I think because I ended up doing 2 university degrees, don't ask, it's a long story, ended up doing 2 university degrees, September just feels like the new year for me. So yeah, I'll try and do this every September, I think. That's if, like, people enjoy the video. If people don't enjoy the video, then I won't do it next year. I'll just do it privately and count my stash. If you do want this as a yearly thing, let me know in the comments. So we're up to 377. So actually, we might just come under the 400 ball mark. We will see. I'll put those over there, ready to be put away. And that needs frogging, so I'll put that with that. Okay, so now this bag of yarn here that I've got down here, this was under the bed, and it's a whole range of some stuff that needs frogging, some stuff I've had for a really long time, and it's in quite a crinkly bag, so I'll do my best not to disturb it too much. So the first bits of yarn I've got is some commercial sock yarn from when I made my partner some cotton socks. This is like a cotton sock yarn. It's specifically for socks, and it's made of cotton and acrylic, I think. I didn't really like knitting with this, to be honest, so I think it's going to go in the goodbye box. The goodbye box, it's going in the goodbye box. I don't like it. I'm just going to weigh it first, see if it counts as a whole ball. So it's 85 grams, so I'm going to call that 1 ball on the count. So the next yarn is, I have got 2 massive balls, these are huge, of a yarn called James C. Brett Rustic Aran Tweed, and this is in shade D83. It's kind of like a pale purpley pink, like a powder pink with tweed flecks in it. I can't remember when I bought this. I think it was a few years ago for a cardigan, and I've got 2 of these, but one of them I have kind of swatched it a few times, which is why it's all wrapped up with that thing. There's even a little crocheted swatch here. So this will probably end up in the goodbye box, but I think that, do you remember that Rowan Patina pink yarn that I said I was going to see if it ran through my Centro machine, and if it doesn't, then it will be sold? I'm going to keep this as a backup. If that yarn doesn't go through the Centro knitting machine, this yarn will. So I know that I'll be able to have a go at making a cardigan with my Centro knitting machine. Because it's something I've wanted to try just to see if it's possible. And I've seen a few videos on YouTube about it. So yeah, I'm going to save this for now, but not forever. Even though those are some giant balls of yarn, I'm just going to count them as 2 to try and see if we can stay under 400. I think this is a futile task, but I'll count that as 2. And then I've got a bunch of this. I've got 1 full ball and then like a few partial balls of some Debbie Bliss Rialto Aran, which is that bouncy, stretchy DK, well, this isn't a DK weight, this is an Aran weight yarn, yarn that I love to crochet with. But I actually used this for a knit shawl. I'll put a picture up now. It was such a lovely project, and the shawl is probably my favourite shawl I have. It's, when I washed it, it really stretched out and grew, and it's huge now, and it wraps right around me, and it's so warm. And I had quite a lot left over from that. These are 80 meters per 50 grams, 100% merino wool. And then I have tried to make things with it over the years. This looks, I don't know what pattern this was. This looks like a textured hat. I knitted this when I was really unwell the first year after I had COVID, when I was like really like I couldn't leave the house and I was living by myself. I remember knitting this over like a week. I might, the ends need weaving in, so what I might do actually is weave the ends in, and I've got a drawer downstairs for like things that I will gift to people for Christmas, like handmade things. So I think I'm going to add this to the handmade things. I don't know who in my family will like it. My plan is to photograph all of the things that I've made that I don't want, that I want to gift to people for Christmas, and put a picture up in our family group chat, say who wants any of this for Christmas. That's my plan, so that can go in there. But the rest of these things that I've tried to make with it, like who knows what that is? Don't know, I'll frog that to use the yarn. And then I've got a random mitten here that I think I did at the same time as that hat, but it's way too small. Look how far up my hand it goes, like my wrist is there and my thumb is like starts down here. So this is way too small, so that'll be frogged, I think, along with it. So I'm gonna weigh all of this together, including the things that need to be frogged, because there's like a whole big tangle of it, and we'll see how many 50-gram balls this is. So it was 220 grams, which is 4.5 balls, so I'm going to count that as 4 balls. But yeah, these all need frogging, and then I'll put that back in my stash because I really love this yarn. I do want to do something with it. And then I found a bunch more of that Rialto lace that I've tried to use a couple of times. Here's actually 2 of the Rialto laces knitted up into a failed project. This is the 10-year tea. I can't remember who it's by, but that needs frogging. So I'm just going to go through this bag because there's just a few balls of that Rialto lace. I'll see how much more of that Rialto lace I actually have. This has all become very tangled up with a bunch of unfinished projects that either need finishing or frogging that I'm not going to go through in this video. So I think I'm going to try and save this for another day, but I think there's probably 3 or 4 balls here, so we'll be generous and call it 3. I found another one, so we'll call it 4 more balls of Rialto lace. I want to be honest with you about how big this stash actually is, so let me write all this down. The next bag of yarn is actually some Hobbycraft yarn. I don't have any other Hobbycraft brand yarn. I can't remember what this is called, and it doesn't look like I've got the labels. It's a cotton acrylic blend. I'll put the name up on the screen. And they sent me a few balls of this because I designed one of the squares for they usually do a yearly crochet along blanket with different designer designing each square, but they didn't run one this year, but I actually was included in 2023, and this is the square that I designed for it. The pattern is free on the Hobbycraft website. So I'm going to pin this up on my samples notice board that's up here, that's off screen at the minute. Oh, I just found a crochet hook. I didn't use very much yarn for those squares, so I'm going to count these as separate balls. There's 4 colours there that I used in the design, so I'm going to add this into my cotton stash that's in the cabinet behind the camera. So yeah, I don't know what colours these are. I don't have the labels, So do you remember that Rowan Patina yarn I showed, a gold and a pink, in the first part of the video? Well, I found another ball of the pink along with some swatches, but that's another ball of yarn. And then I've got some leftovers of a drop snipple, which is from a cardigan that I knitted earlier in the year. And this is colour 206. It's like a beige. This is I think it's, oh, what's the content? So it's an Aran weight yarn, so it's 75 meters per 50 grams, and this is 65% wool and 35% alpaca. It's a lovely soft wool, but if you have sensitive skin, this is probably not for you. It's slightly prickly on my neck. It wouldn't irritate me too much, but as long as I wouldn't wear it on like a day where I was going to be a little bit warm and flustered. So I've got some partial balls of that and a full, so I'll just weigh these to see if these count as a full. So there's only 30 grams of those partial balls, so I'm not going to count that. I'm going to count this all together as 1. And then I thought I had more than this. I'm just going to have a quick look around and check this is actually the last bit of wool that I want to talk about. It's not. This is not the last ball of wool. I knew there was something else I wanted to talk about, but this is a really interesting yarn. This is a t-shirt yarn called Spaghetti. This went through like a massive trend online. I don't know when, it was like 2013 or 2014 maybe. It went through a massive trend. I bought a ball of this bright blue, and people were using it to make like rugs and storage baskets. So I started making a storage basket, and then I started frogging it because I didn't like the colour, and it's just like been in my stash for 10 years unused. So this is being given away. It's quite cool because it's like literally, it's called a t-shirt yarn because it's literally t-shirt material. So it's quite cool for like a storage basket, but I didn't like the colour that I bought. So yeah, so this is going to go in the goodbye box. Okay, and then the last balls of wool aren't balls of wool. These are my only yarn cones. And I did show these in one of my podcasts because I was very disappointed when I received them. So I've got 2 cones of 100% pure new wool, which is Yarn to Cone from Woolly Knit, which is a British yarn company. It's coming off a little bit golden yellow on the camera. the pictures online of people that have knitted with this, it comes across as yellow. I ordered it and it came as baby poo brown, and I was previously a midwife, and that's all it reminds me of is changing nappies. So this is going in the goodbye box, 110%. This is my least favourite yarn in my whole collection. It's horrible. And it's very, very prickly rustic yarn on top of being a horrible colour. These, doesn't tell you the meterage on this label. That's a bit rubbish. But they're like 1,000 meters or something per thing. It's like 4-ply yarn, so you hold 2 together to get DK weight. But yeah, I'll try and sell them because they're not cheap, but I won't be trying this yarn again. So I think that is everything. I'm just gonna double check everything because we're almost at 400 and I wanna check that we've not gone over 400. So I got really happy then because the total came out as 396 balls of yarn. And I was like, oh my God, yay, it hasn't reached 400. And then I remembered that I'd forgotten a bag of yarn. Yeah, so we're over 400 now. So this is 6 balls. I've got 2 more balls downstairs. And this is Rauma Garn Finial. It's a deep cherry red. It's lovely. And this is going to be a Christmas cardigan. I can't remember what the colour name is. It's like wine red, something like that. It's a Norwegian yarn. What colour is it? Oh, it says it's colour 428. It's 175 meters per 50 grams. It's a 4-ply yarn, but it's on the heavier side of 4-ply. It's quite fluffy. It's quite rustic as well. If I hold it up to the camera, hopefully you can see. So it's quite loosely spun, but it's not scratchy. Some rustic yarn can be really scratchy, but I would kind of describe it as crunchy. It's supposed to be good for colour work, which is what I bought it for. So that's good. Yes, this is Rauma Garn Finial and it's 100% Norwegian wool. I have done a few swatches in this. I'll show you the swatches. So I've got 2 more balls of wool downstairs, I think, of this, or maybe 3. So that definitely takes us over the 400. So yeah, that's kind of the Christmas cardigan that I'm going to be making, and it's a lot less crunchy and it has softened up a little bit with blocking the swatches. So that takes us over 400. I think I bought 11 balls in total for that. And I haven't quite started it yet. So if I'd have actually started this cardigan, I wouldn't have had to include it in my stash. So actually I need to just pull it out and do it. So that's 396 plus 11 equals 407. I have 407 balls of yarn in my collection. Once I get rid of all of the yarn that I've said that I'm getting rid of in this video, I will have less than 400. So, okay, yeah, actually that's fine. I have less than 400 balls of yarn because once I've gotten rid of all of the ones and I've sold and given away and things like that, the yarn that I've got in here, I've got a box under my desk now that's my goodbye box that I need to sort out and work out where things are going. So I hope you've enjoyed this feature-length film about my yarn stash. I was very nervous about filming this video and putting out how much of a yarn addict and what a yarn buying problem that I have out on the internet, but I know that there are other people out there with huge yarn stashes, so if you're one of those people, let me know in the comments so that I know I'm not alone. If you're looking for something to watch next, I'll pop up a playlist of my podcast up here. They're long, chatty rambles about my current projects, and I put one out every month. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.